Clarence Williams III. Well, welcome to the Jim Norton and Sam Roberts Show. A strange day. It's funny how people, when it comes to Louis, people have been asking for a long time. They're like, "You're afraid to talk about it. You don't want to talk about it." Because until last night, by the way, I was invited to the premiere, and it was canceled.
Of course it was.
Of course it was.
That's the luck of Jim Norton.
That's when Jim Norton's involved with anything, bad things happen.
Well, part of it was you, and part of it was Louis C.K. masturbating in front of women in a hotel room.
Well, he did. I guess he knew that the article was coming. I didn't know what was happening. I just got a fucking...
The premiere or the masturbating?
The premiere.
Oh.
I just got with him. But someone's masturbating in front of me, I usually know it.
Oh, okay.
Because I've usually handed the money. But here's the allegations that I had heard. This is the rumor I had heard. Years ago, I had heard that he had done it jerked off in front of two women. That was a rumor years ago. But there was never a name on any of this. So you didn't know who it was. I don't know any of these people. And I'm not saying that they're lying at all. I just I don't know any of them.
Well, it's also, they didn't. The reason that this article is news is because there are names attached to it now. Like, of course, we had all heard the rumor, because I was getting that a lot too. Like, people were like, well, you knew about Louis C.K. I'm not going to say nobody, because obviously people did. The people it happened to, and Louis, and whoever, I guess, was told. But in terms of what I knew what any other person who reads blogs knew, which is, oh yeah, Louis C.K. is a creep, but like nobody ever mentioned a name. Everybody had to do. Every time you heard the story, it was kind of different. So there was no actual.
There was never
thing.
a name. There was never a name to it. And I had heard about two women. I didn't hear that it was a comedy team. I had heard that it was two women, but I never heard it mentioned in a menacing. And this is years ago. It was never mentioned like in a menacing thing. Judy, too. It's so bad. So yeah, he jerked off to, and then I would say, no, that's not true. Yeah, it's true. No, it's not true. And then Jen Kirkman's name got attached to it. I don't know how her name got attached to this whole thing. I have no idea.
I think she did some podcast where she said a comedian had jerked off in front of her, and it was heavily implied that it was Louis. Like, it really sounded like it was Louis, but then...
Didn't she change that, though?
Yeah, but then Jen Kirkman came out and said it wasn't Louis. Which, again, who knows if she wanted to make it seem like it was, even though it wasn't. Who knows if later... Louis' manager got to her and she was like, just go out and say it wasn't him. And, it could have still been Louis.
See, Louis doesn't respond to stuff like this, although on this one he may have to. This is a very big story. I mean, it's front page of the papers. You can't not respond to it.
I mean, you could not. You could just...
I guess you could not. Yeah, maybe you can
just
not.
Go away for a while.
Yeah, but it's difficult. But look, man, if you're doing that to women at work, did he know that they didn't want him to do that? Because it's like, you kind of hope it's not true. It's like, I love Louis. He's one of my favorite people.
I mean, nobody...
But you can't...
Nobody...
I don't think 5 separate people are lying. I don't think these women are lying.
I don't think any of them are lying. And I mean, I don't... It's one thing if you're propositioning somebody that you are in a relationship with, or you're speaking sexually to, or like, you're in that scenario, but just a woman at work and being like, hey, can I masturbate in front of you? Like, there aren't any women who would want that question asked of them.
That's a bizarre thing. Like that, I don't understand that. I don't understand saying to a woman, like, can I jerk off in front of you?
I don't understand like the whole thing. And I don't think that the stuff that Louis did is nearly as bad as what Harvey Weinstein or Kevin Spacey did at all.
Well, hold on, with Louis, though, isn't it like, didn't he ask all the women? I'm not saying what he did was right. It's creepy at work.
Right, it's not rape, but he didn't rape anybody. But part of the problem is that he was asking women in inappropriate scenarios. And the story that the comedy team told, that Louis jerked off in front of, that they say he jerked off in front of them in the hotel, which I believe them, is that they were at this Aspen festival, and they had performed, and the bar was closed, and Louis was like, oh, let's go up to my room and get drinks. And the article, and I believe it, made it seem like this wasn't a, hey, girls, you want to come up to my room? It was, hey, let's just hang out. We're all comedians. There's 2 of you. We're friends.
Now, does he, and again, he may have known that. It may have been a friendly vibe that maybe he just made really creepy. Or did he think, hey, these 2 girls are coming up to my room? I don't see. I have no frame of reference for in front of 2 women who are friends to take off all your clothes and just jerk off. Like, I can't wrap my head around that. I can't wrap my head around doing that. Like, do you know that they don't want you to do it, Or do you think, because the girls said that it was awkward and they were kind of like screaming and laughing. Did they make it look like they were like, oh God, look what he's doing. It's crazy. It's fun. Or did they let it be known that they weren't enjoying it?
No, they didn't. They ran out after it said in the article.
But did they let him know while it was happening that they weren't enjoying it?
They were laughing while it was happening because it was so uncomfortable for them.
Yeah, maybe did he read that wrong? Or did he not care?
No, I don't think
or did he not care that it was uncomfortable?
I don't think that he read the situation wrong.
Dude, you would be surprised that people do read it. I'm not defending what he did. It's creepy. But you do read situations wrong all the time. People read it all the time. They read situations wrong with
Once
women.
you got your dick out and you're naked, you have to take some responsibility. It's tough to read a situation.
Well, yeah, of course. I'm just saying you can read situations wrong.
Especially if you're drinking.
Yeah, it's not saying that it's not it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But I want to know, what is the mindset when you go up there? Do you know that you're making two women uncomfortable jerking off in front of them? Like, I can't wrap my head around doing that.
It's probably the same mindset of people who jerk off on the subway.
No, yeah, maybe it is. Although people on the subway tend to be crazy. They tend to be homeless and crazy. Not all of them. But they don't tend to be rational thinkers either.
It is weird to hear this from a rational thinker.
And they don't tend to do it in front of people they know. And they don't tend to do it in front of coworkers. People on the subway are randomly doing it, and it's almost an act of aggression. Is that what it was from him? Maybe.
But there are people who do it in public and on the subway and stuff like that aren't necessarily crazy homeless people that are that exhibitionist thing. And, a lot of women have stories. I've told Jess a story before where the thing that takes them out of it is when a woman says, I don't like this. And then they kind of just like stop. The guys who like rub, and then the woman turns around and says, knock it off. And then they stop. It's almost like this fantasy that's built up in their head where they like this. They won't say anything, but they like this. They like this. And until somebody says, hey, stop it. I don't like that. That's what jars them out of this weird mental fantasy that they're in.
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying. Did he have that weird thing, even though he's a genius comedian, did he have that weird thing where he's thinking like, oh, they're fucking into this. They think this is hot to see me doing this. They like the naughtiness of this. Like when you're an exhibitionist.
Yeah.
What is it? Like for me, sex is shameful.
Right.
So I don't want people watching. It's got to be, there's a weird thing I like that turns me on that is obviously not the same as this. This doesn't turn me on. The idea of jerking off in front of somebody in an office doesn't turn me on because it's just too uncomfortable.
Right.
But when you're an exhibitionist and that's your thing, do you convince yourself that the other person is fucking loving your dick and go, oh my God, this is so fucking hot? So that's what I'm saying. Are you reading these things? Are you reading an innocent moment wrong? Or do you know it's uncomfortable and not give a shit?
Well, I think that it's nuanced a little bit. Like to say that you're reading it wrong is to almost put a little too much innocence on it. Like there's some crazy to it.
There might be some crazy to it, yeah.
Like, and I think that you're not reading it wrong in the sense that like you or I are just like, oh, I didn't realize that person was mad at me or whatever. Like you or I could read something wrong, but still be in touch with reality. I think that like when you get to doing stuff like this, I think that's why you and I can't relate to it, is because there's a bit of crazy to it where in his head, it's very possible that he wasn't sitting here and being like, I'm victimizing them. They like this. But anybody that can pick up on signals would know these are uncomfortable people.
Because it's strange. Like he would ask,
right? Like
they said he would ask. It was like somebody said to me last night, look, you respected no means no. Like at work though, it's creepy at work, man. You just can't do it. Like someone's going to work, they're doing a gig.
Yeah,
you just can't do it. I mean,
no. It's I mean, yeah, and even it's like something it's creepy to just do it at a bar if you haven't built to it. You know what I mean?
If you haven't built to it, it's definitely creepy.
Even socially, it's something that you build to. To just masturbate in front of a person is not a terrible thing to do if you've built up some rapport. You know what I mean? Like you get there. You probably should have kissed already.
See,
right?
No, not necessarily.
Or something. You know what I mean, though? Like, there's a sexuality to what's going on. Like, you are hooking up tonight.
Yeah, and do you delude yourself? Like, what causes you to go down that thought? And again, I'm a dirty guy. Like, I'm a perverted guy.
Right.
But this is one I don't get. Like, there's certain elements of sexuality I don't get. And, like, being with people who, like, are at work. Like, I guess because I'm so fucking panic-stricken at work and I'm always afraid of getting fired that I can't be sexual.
It's so weird.
How do you do it in an office?
It's so weird what sex does to people. I can't understand it. Like, I can't understand the people who, any of these guys, like, who throw everything away because they're so obsessed with this thing. I mean, I'm not comparing Louis C.K. to kid touchers, but a kid toucher who, like, knows, I'm going to go to jail forever. I'm going to get raped in jail if I do this.
But it overpowers you.
But I can't. I got to keep doing it. Or, Harvey Weinstein. I know this is wrong. Of course this is wrong. But I'm Harvey Weinstein. I need this power. I need to get this high. I need to get this high. It's like, I guess it's like a drug addict who's like, I understand. I'm putting this needle of heroin in my arm. The only thing this leads to is death. There's nothing besides death that this leads to.
But the urge or the lust or whatever overpowers your brain. But the thing is, like, the woman on the phone, like, I think two women said what he did was on the phone. Like, they think he was jacking off on the phone. Like, all right, that's creepy, but that's not work. Because you could just hang up on somebody if they're jerking off on the phone. Just fucking hang up on them. The problem is when you're doing it and you're working for HBO or for Chris Rock and you're jerking off in front of someone who's kind of new there. Like, that's a problem. And it's bad.
Although I don't know. I think if you call a woman that you're working with.
Were they working together, the woman he's talking about?
They were some kind of work peers.
He knew her ex-boyfriend or something.
Yeah. I mean, either way, you've heard.
It ain't right.
Right.
It ain't right to call someone and jerk off on the phone, but it's not New York Times worthy. If that's the only thing, you hang up on a person if they're doing that.
It's like page 6 worthy.
Yeah, it's creepy on a certain level, but it's not like in the age of there are rapists and pedophiles. That doesn't merit. But the other stuff.
But that coupled with the other stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. And apparently, and you can't say it's not true because, and I love Louis. He's one of my favorite people in the world. But the reality is, if David and Patricia Arquette are saying, yeah, they came to us in 2003, if there's apology emails, then there's some truth to it, if not all truth to it.
And I mean, honestly, knowing Louis, if it were not true, he probably would not cancel everything.
Yeah,
he would probably get in front of it.
Do you know how I found out that there was a Times article coming out?
Because Louis told you knew the whole time.
Yeah, he gave me all the names.
He gave you everything. He bragged about it with you.
No, Louis is a strange guy in this, and I say that lovingly. He's a guy who will talk to you, but someone's asking, did Louis talk to me about this? No. It's not the way he does things. Like, he'll text you about stuff. He texted me recently, just went, hey man, I was thinking of you. How are you? And we're just chatting back and forth. And then he just stops texting. Like, he's just gone. He just disappears. Like, and Bob Kelly and I have talked about that before. Like, one day you're talking to him and, hey man, how are you? Okay, let's get together. And then you don't talk to him for 8 months.
You're best friends and then he disappears.
Yeah, so no, he never actually spoke to me about these. But I was coming home yesterday. And I knew I had this premiere last night. I was going to do Chip and then go to the premiere.
You thought you had this premiere.
Of that, I did.
Yeah.
And I got a text from my publicist who said that due to unforeseen circumstances, she sent me the email that they had sent out. And then I got the email. So I'm like, all right, maybe, who knows? Maybe he just didn't want to do it. And then I got a text from Don Lemon. Don Lemon and I've never met Don Lemon, but I do love him because he and I have been texting for over a year.
How'd you start texting?
Was it over furniture or financing? We have a mutual friend. I don't even remember how he connected. It was something he was going to help me find someone to do construction for the apartment well over a year ago. Mm-hmm. And they said Don Lemon had some work. We knew a mutual person, so we texted, and we literally have just not been able to get together for a year and a half. So I'll once in a while randomly text Don Lemon, hey, how are you? Or he'll text. It's very bizarre. But I got a text from him. He goes, hey man, what's up? And he sent me a link to the article. And I told him truthfully, this is the first time I'm hearing that there's an article. And I didn't read it until, I guess, when it came out.
Yeah, I had heard in the afternoon yesterday, that's when the premiere got canceled and everybody was saying, and he was trending, and the details weren't out, but they were like, there's a New York Times article coming. And then I think at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the Times just put the article out.
Yeah, once there's obviously he knew it was coming. They said he's not commenting, and I don't know what the right thing to do here. Like, if you're him, should you I would personally love to hear him talk about it. Just like what's right and what's wrong. What was your mentality? Like, did you go look, I'm fucked up, and I like to do this, and I sensed that they were uncomfortable, but I just had to come, or I didn't care, or did you convince yourself I thought they loved it? And I'm crazy to think that they loved it. I don't understand the mentality.
I'm definitely curious about it. I'd love to hear about it just for our benefit. But I think the best thing Louis can do for himself
is probably not sure.
Yeah, just lay low for a while and then wait until this blows over, wait until more accusations come out about more people, because it's going to happen.
And Spacey, the difference between this and Spacey coming out and saying something is that Spacey was covering an act with an underage person.
Maybe multiple.
Yeah. But I mean, the original one was like an underage person. Someone said he tried to touch me when I was a child. And then he went, I'm gay. And then gay people like, nah, fuck you. Don't lump us in with that.
Although it would have been really funny if Louis just sent out a tweet that said, by the way, I'm gay.
Yes. Yeah, that would be. Yeah. But
yeah, I was really bummed out, to tell you the truth, when I heard it. Because like I've only known Louis to be a pretty good guy. He's done a couple things off the air to me that like made me think like this is a really good dude.
Yeah,
he's done things that like a person in his position didn't have to do. And I mean, it made me think. I read the article and I have had one sort of one phone conversation with him. I do not think he was masturbating, though.
Probably not.
I'm almost positive.
Unless there was news that you were in the hospital sick, then all of us would have.
Yeah, it's just circle jerking.
But yeah, man, it's weird. It's weird when it's a friend of yours, because I love him. He's, again, I've known him for 20 years, and he's a guy that I love. And it's like, here's what I hope. I hope that he addresses it at least, and I hope that with these, I feel bad for the people it happened to. And I'm not saying that just because you're supposed to say it. I really do. It's got to be uncomfortable if there's somebody you admire and they, like it's a work situation. You're like, wow, I love this guy. Oh no, it's that. And you're not into it.
Yeah, you go, oh no, exactly. Yeah, you go, oh no, it's that. And then you sit there and you watch him become like the most beloved person in comedy. And you almost are like, what about this thing? Like, this thing happened. Yeah. Like, this really happened.
But for people that were always asking about the rumors and stuff like that, that was what I heard years ago. I never heard names to it. And I tell you in complete honesty, I don't know any of the people who are involved. And if I've met them, I don't. So it was like never like, oh, did you hear what happened to Sarah or this girl? It was just this rumor. And again, I'm not stupid. Chances are where there's smoke, there's some kind of fire. But there was never a name attached to it. I'm like, why would anybody be scared? I guess I'm not a woman. I don't have that fear. But apparently it's like they a lot of them said that someone tried to silence them. They said that his management tried to silence them or spoke to them, or they were told don't talk about it. Yeah, of course.
I could totally see where somebody would not talk about it.
But it's hard. It's weird when you, like, I have no frame of reference for that. Like, to me, it's not scary if someone does something to mention it. But I guess when you're a woman and you're in the business and someone does shit like that, it's scary. And, I know somebody recently something happened to. It's sexual. It's disconnected. It's not as serious as this, but
Louis did it though?
He did not do it. No.
Okay.
And she didn't want to talk about it. And she told me about it, and she didn't know what she should do publicly. And the reasons she didn't talk about it that are not, but it's like the fear of backlash.
Yeah.
Or people saying something. And I told him, like, but you did nothing wrong. Like,
there is also this thing though. I mean, and you probably wouldn't feel it just because everything about your sex life has been so public. But like, when people come out and they say this traumatizing thing happened to them, whether it's, stuff like the women in this story or the Kevin Spacey story with the dudes or whatever it is, like, a stigma does get attached to them. Even though they're victims of this thing, there is this sexual victim stigma that gets attached to them. And especially before now, when it was just this big thing, when it wasn't quite as big, you become crazy Corey Feldman, who's kind of a joke, or you become like you become that, or you become crazy Rose McGowan, or whoever it is. You look at these people that did kind of step forward before all this was going on, and they did have a stigma attached to them.
I just don't. I can't understand. Like, I guess when something sexual happens, you have to. Okay, do I understand the desire to do this? Like, do I get. And to be nude in front of somebody who's not like 100% down with it,
right?
And I'm not saying like I'm this great guy at all. It's just literally it's what turns me on. Like, there's certain things, your turn-ons are your turn-ons. You like what you like, and the idea of somebody going,
yeah, right.
Like, I'm like, oh no, like that kind of. I like somebody's dirt. Like, I like the eye contact. I like somebody who's filthy.
Right.
And who fucking... So I'm saying is, can you delude yourself into thinking that person is filthy and giving you that when they're not? Maybe you can. But I would love to hear from him on, did you know that they were uncomfortable? That's a big part. Doing it at work, though, the reason it's a problem is because when you're on a set, you can't say to somebody, even if they want you to, you can't say to somebody, do you want to watch me jerk off?
Of course
you just
not.
can't.
No.
You know.
And you wonder, though,
if a woman said, I'd love to watch you jerk off, I'd be down.
She could come up to you and suggest it. You wonder, though, like maybe it's one of those things where you delude yourself in the moment. And then after it happens, you're like, that's when the shame kicks in. You're like, obviously they didn't want that. That was stupid. Why did I do that?
But
again?
I've had minor. I had a thing with a girl one time on a set, a good thing, when we flirted and we did blah blah blah. We got to know each other, but it was such a slow, scary. Like we never even had sex, but it was one of those things where you think you're getting a little bit of an energy, and then you're like, am I deluding myself? Like. And then you talk a little bit, and then we'll go out, we'll have some food, and it's such a fucking slow process. But again, it's because I'm paranoid of getting in trouble. Yeah, you don't want to do anything that's going to get you fucked at a network.
And mentally, there is something off about going from, is there a little energy here? I guess I should jerk off in front of them. Like that's going from step 1 to 15.
Exhibitionism is just one for me. I just never did. I'm much more of a voyeur, and because I've had girls say things like, oh, I love to fuck in public, and I'll talk like, yeah, no, I don't. Forget it. My fucking dick would wilt like you hit it with a hammer.
It would.
I just couldn't do it. The risk of getting caught, like that's a big one for people. And I'll talk dirty to you about it. I'll text dirty about anything. But the reality of it is the risk of getting caught in public, fucking forget it.
Do you think that as a comic, the fact that like you go back now and you look at a lot of Louis' work in a different context, and some of it's fair and some of it's not fair, but the fact that there was so much material about jerking off, the fact that there's this thing, did you see the video from Louis of him going on
Fox?
Yeah, the fake
I saw
Fox
the clip, but no, I never
like, do you think that was partly, or like the Pamela Adlon scene where he's kind of like pushing himself on her, which has now been out there a lot. Like, do you think that some of this stuff,
is there truth in art?
Is there a cry? But is it almost like a cry for help? Like, I wish I could just tell you this is what I need you to know about me.
I don't know about a cry for help. Like, I sometimes you tell your dirty secrets through your work. Other times you're talking about things that like, oh, thank God that ain't me through your work. Other times you're just taking a normal thing and exaggerating it. Like, it really does.
But without it, because he never acknowledged like this is something that I actually like. So like, but do you think that there is part of a therapeutic thing where like, if I just can inject this into my work without saying it, it'll get it off my chest?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe it's your way of confessing it or talking about. I don't know. I honestly don't know, because I just, for me, I've just kind of come out and said stuff.
You're more of a literal guy.
Yeah, but I kind of know what I like at this point, and I know what doesn't turn me on and what does turn me on. And let's see here. A lot of John in New Jersey is talking about the New York Times article. What's up, John? How you doing, buddy?
John in New Jersey.
What exit?
Hey,
I'm being cute, John.
What's up, guys?
Hey, man. What's up?
Hey, so I really have a problem with the New York Times article, and obviously I'm a big Louis fan. But the way I look at it is there are really 4 incidents that they're reporting on, and I really think that only one of those incidents is arguably problematic, and that's the one in the hotel room with the 2 women where he just gets naked and starts masturbating. The other, you have the woman on the phone, which I agree with you 100%, Jimmy. Just hang up the fucking phone if a guy starts jerking off. Then you have the other girl at the Chris Rock show who, from my understanding of the article, agreed to have him do it on more than one occasion. And what the article says now is that she regrets it now. And so if a woman that regrets a sexual encounter that happened like 10 years ago is the basis for assault, then we're all in trouble.
No. I'll tell you one thing. It's not assault. I'll tell you one thing. They said Louis C.K. is accused by 5 women of sexual misconduct. In fairness to the Times, they are not accusing him of assault. They are acknowledging that he did get some kind of permission in his own head to do it. They're not saying, and he apologized. He's not a monster. I think he just has a shit judgment, and I think he just probably read these people fucking wrong, unless there's other things. The problem with the Chris Rock one, though, is if you're way above somebody on the ladder in show business and you ask them, you have to understand their answer may be tainted with a desire to please you because you're at HBO and you're working for Chris Rock. And you understand what I mean? Like, you kind of have to. And the phone ones are different to me, much different.
I think that the phone one,
you can't prove them, and you can also just go like, just hang up the fucking phone or just say you got to go.
I think that, I get what you're saying. The phone ones are not as serious, but at the same time, like, when you start saying just hang up the phone, like, that's a slippery slope into victim blaming.
No, it's not. No. The victim blaming is saying, like with Kevin Spacey, he's grabbing a reporter's dick under the table. How about just going, don't do that?
Yeah, but it is problematic if you have a guy. If Louis' thing is he likes to call women and he's masturbating on the other end of the phone, like that's a problem. It's not sexual assault and it's not the same thing as masturbating in front of women, but it is not a healthy thing. It is a problem if a big star is calling women and masturbating on the other end of the phone.
Yeah, but it's not I mean, what's been exposed with people, again, Harvey Weinstein maybe brought up in rape charges, Kevin Spacey touching underage, it doesn't belong in the same conversation, hey, a guy jerked off on the phone. In the context of other stuff, yeah, I get why they put it in.
Right.
But I do think with that one, and I'm not victim blaming, I'm not saying those fucking bitches were talking sexy to him. I'm just saying if you're uncomfortable with the way someone's being on the phone, get off the phone. If he was yelling at you, you get off the fucking phone. But to me, that one, the HBO one, is a problem as well, dude. It's not just the one, not just the hotel room, because you're at work. Even though she gave her consent, it's like you're at work, and if you're above someone on the totem pole, like if you're a fucking intern and you ask the executive producer if you can jerk off in front of her, and she says yes, that's different.
That's terrific.
Because she's the boss, and you've got a great game. But if you're above someone on the totem pole and they're young and eager to work there, you got to understand their yes may be tainted with uncomfortable.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just bad, really shitty judgment. Yes, John, I'm sorry.
It's more. I hear what you're saying in that work dynamic, but it was more than one yes. And so, and what she's saying now,
Yes.
and what the New York Times article reports, is just that she regrets it. And like, so to me, it sounds like she was okay with it at the time, regardless of what the power dynamic was. And now she's saying she regrets it. And like, I just don't think that that's newsworthy either, because she's coming forward with something that she agreed to, and okay, she regrets it 10 years later. I mean, so why is that in the Times?
Well, because it was a work incident. Because it was a work incident, John. I think that's why.
And there's also like there's all contracts have something called like you're
Moral
signing
clauses or whatever,
and you're
yeah.
signing under duress. Like if you're saying yes multiple times, but you're saying yes under duress because of the situation that you just brought up, Jim. It's not the same as just being like, yeah, this sounds great, and then 5 years later being like, I wish I hadn't done that. It's different than just being like, oh yeah, no, I really liked it at the time, but now I regret it. I don't think that's what she's saying.
Or is it a case of, hey, look, they were flirting, and again, is it one of those things where, yeah, maybe she did give him sexual vibes, and maybe she did indicate, yeah, this is kind of hot to me and naughty and turns me on. I'm a bit of a voyeur. Maybe it did, and then she regrets, like, fuck, man, I was at work and that wasn't what I wanted to do. So the problem is not even the fact that she was saying yes, it's the fact that at work you just can't do it.
Yeah.
You can't, when you're writing for HBO, do that.
Yeah.
Because again, it's even if the person is 100% down with it, you gotta like what you're at work, and that can be a problem. Like you gotta think, and again, it's 12 years ago, slightly different then than it is now. But I just know how fucking paranoid I am around here. Like fucking, it terrifies me flirting with anybody here. Hello, how are you? Hello, God bless. Hello. All right, John, appreciate the call. Thanks a lot.
Yes.
All right, thanks. Bye.
You'd rather have a reputation for being rude than for flirting, right?
Yeah, and I do get how you can, like, hey, man, if they had an energy going back and forth and he thought she liked it and she consented to it, yeah, I get that that's not any type of an assault. It's just shitty judgment. But it's also the problem you have is this wasn't on your couch. If this was on your couch, I wouldn't even talk to you about it. If they went out a few times and had dinner and he goes, I want to go home and jerk off, and she's like, I'd love to come watch you, this was not even part of the conversation. Because that's just two adults. One may regret it later, but hey, if you were going to regret it later, you shouldn't have said yes in the moment. You should have avoided it. But at work, you know, it's someone in the business below you on the totem pole.
Yeah, you can't. You just can't.
Yeah. When will comedians start to defend other comedians? Mike and hi, Mike. What are you talking about?
Hey, I'm really disappointed what I'm listening to this morning, and here's why I say this. You know, I mean, we already got this guy already guilty until proven innocent. You know, just like the other caller said, this happened years ago. This is a problem I have not right now, is that not people coming out because they want to be they get their 5 minutes of fame. They go out there. This hurt me 10 years ago. Now you ruined this poor guy's fucking career.
Hold on, Mike. Mike, one thing at a time. No, Mike. One thing at a time. One thing at a time. We're all talking to you. Look, Louis is one of my favorite people. I'm not attacking Louis. I love the guy.
Oh, I
love him.
I know that.
But the reality is, I didn't speculate on the rumors because I really didn't have a name attached to it. And I'm like, I'm not going to fucking say shit about a guy who I love when there's zero substantiation. But now if there is, and these people are saying, yeah, this is what happened, it's got to be talked about. And what is there to defend? He's not a rapist. He didn't force anybody physically to do anything. But is it inappropriate and shitty to do? Yes. So it's like, what kind of defense do you want? I'm not sure what you'd want people to say. I'm not saying he's 100% guilty. I'm saying I'd love to hear his rebuttal to this. He may have a totally different story.
If he's canceling all of his stuff, if he's canceling his premieres and he's canceling his press because this article is coming out, I think that kind of speaks volumes in and of itself.
Maybe. Not always, though. Sometimes people do cancel shit because they don't want it to taint the thing, or like, or Colbert may have canceled him. Colbert may have said, look, this is coming out.
Press that's not.
But I don't know if that's telling you.
It's getting too easy. And here's why I'm going to tell you this. Okay. You know how easy this could be, Jim? You're my favorite.
Thank you.
That's everybody knows. You're my favorite comedian of all time. I could bring my wife to your next show, have my wife have a big fawn on her with a scared look, and take a picture. Somebody take a picture of me, you, and my wife. I'll wait 3 months later and says, hey, after one of his shows, we went out to eat. We talked about his career and everything. I went to the bathroom. Whole son Jim took his dick out and started showing my wife his fucking huge cock.
Thank you for the adjective. Yeah. I would probably say that's that. Here's how you know he's lying, and then I'd show my dick.
Yeah, but
Mike, hang on, Mike.
With all seriousness, I worry about you guys because they get to a point now you can't even make a joke no more. The political correctness and everything else. All right, Harvey Weinstein is one fucking thing. But, the comedians are the most important thing, and everybody's, especially
I don't know if they're the most.
No, I think right. Mike, you don't want to muddy the water. This is what happens, though. Like, you make a joke, and they say, yeah, making a joke is the... And that's one thing. You defend your joke, or you can fucking argue with the feminist who hates your joke, or whatever. But it is different than, okay, this is what happened. If women are coming out and saying this is what happened... then it's got to be addressed. And like, if he can address it someday, and I'm sure he will in his own way, the good thing for him is this. He didn't apparently force anybody to do anything. And apparently he called a couple of them and tried to apologize and said, look, I was in a really dark time in my life.
A Facebook message and apologized.
And this is all over a decade ago when I'm guessing he was going through some kind of a marriage crisis. Not an excuse.
See, but that's my
Mike,
point,
hang on.
Jim. Let me ask you, you're pretty smart. Okay, go ahead.
What do you really think that people accusing other people of sexual misconduct and sexual harassment and sexual assault is a bigger problem than
Sam,
the idea?
no.
Yeah, let him ask you, Mike. Let Sam.
I haven't even asked you the question.
Let Sammy B to the M ask you a question.
Do you think that that's a bigger problem than the fact that there's sexual misconduct and harassment and assault that's happening like crazy, and this is just everybody finally getting called out for it? Don't you think that the actual acts that are happening are far worse than the idea that people are calling people out for it?
Well, let me tell you this. Here's my answer to that, okay? I don't know if it is. You don't know if it is. Like God. Jim said, it could be a mutual understanding at that point, okay? Not because somebody wants 5 minutes of fame. Look, here's the deal.
You're not getting famous.
If they had a problem, either that day or the next fucking day, say something about it. Not fucking 10 years later.
They did say something, Mike. They did say something, Mike. They said something the next day. Mike, they said something.
Mike, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about it.
They said something the next day.
They did say something.
They were silenced by his manager. It says it in the article. You don't have to worry about us because we're honest about what we're doing. I don't have any there's zero skeletons that'll come out, and very few that'll come out for Jim.
Yeah, there's one that everybody knows.
No, Club Soda, you don't even have Club Soda Kenny no more. I'd like to offer my services for you.
No, I still have Kenny, dude. He's
270.
All right, well, thank you.
To fuck people up.
All right, buddy. Okay. All right, thank you very much, Mike. You're a good egg. Thanks for the call, buddy. I appreciate it. No, that is one thing is on the road. I did always have Kenny, which Kenny spent a lot of time with me and whoever I was with. But again, I don't.
You mean it's just like almost like see nothing's going on here type thing?
But that's not why I had him. He was a great travel companion. It's only on this last tour that from the middle of the last tour on. But he doesn't come with me now because I just don't really need it. Like, he can do everything from home. Yeah. I'm not selling merch. I was getting shit for somebody, but anyway, who cares? Let's see here. Luke in Sacramento. Yes, Luke?
Yo.
Hey, buddy.
Jim.
Yes, sir.
See, why didn't you do what, or why don't these female comics do what you did, is when Louis C.K. whipped his dick out and started jerking off, you just suck it.
You said dicked, Luke. You said you said his dicked out. He pulled his dicked out. So, Luke,
Sorry,
the wrong tense.
Luke, you panicked. You fucking panicked.
I did.
All right, thank you, Luke. Luke just fell apart there. He fucking totally panicked.
He did.
He pulled his dick out and you sucked it. Fucking boo, Luke.
He was thinking of sucked, but he was still on
I
dick.
know.
And
Luke.
Oh, Lou.
Let's see. I understand this too. As yes, Avery in Tennessee.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah. As a woman that works around a lot of men and have been put in situations my whole life, I don't understand why some of these women just don't leave.
I don't understand it either, but I've never been in that position. But you've been in that. What have you been in that position? What's happened?
Well, I mean, there's always been creepy guys. And so, somebody goes to do something. Now, putting children and rape aside, just simply talking about, people that were like in that situation. I mean, I would just be like, oh my God, that's disgusting, and leave.
Well, I think that there are a couple things. Number one, a lot of people go into shock. Number two, in a lot of these situations, there are people that want to have and need to have a professional relationship, a good relationship
with somebody,
with the person who's doing it. So they go like, as the moment's happening, they kind of go into shock. They go, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. I didn't think this would happen, but I also want this person to like me, and should I just stay? And as you're processing this, it's like a traumatic thing happening.
But does that ambiguity, does that kind of vagueness in reaction tell the person, and again, because he's not forcing anybody to do anything, does that tell him in his mind, like, especially when there's two women, like when there's two women, if they're watching and giggling and being, however they were being, maybe they were being very sullen and miserable too, I don't know. But does that tell you in your mind, yeah, this is consent, this is what they like?
Maybe in the...
Are you convincing yourself that that's what they like? I don't know.
I can tell you, though, that there are certain situations I just wouldn't put myself in. Again, I'm not talking about anybody who was raped or any children, but just like these two women. A guy asks you up to his room. He may or may not have been drinking. Stupid stuff starts happening. The minute the guy walks out naked, I'm hardly, as a grown woman, in shock. I'm just like, creep, and I leave.
Unless they're comedians that think it's a joke.
Or if you're young comedians and you think like, wow, but in 2005, Louis was not what he is today. People are saying he was wieldy. He had some power. He was a head writer, but he was not the
When did Lucky Louie come out?
2006, I think. 2005, if this happened, or 2004.
But this was after this was after his time on Conan, correct?
Yeah. He definitely had power in the business, but he wasn't the Louis that people know now.
He's not giving people shows.
No. He was not that kind. But if you're too young, eager, I could see why somebody would go up to the room. It's weird in show business, quote unquote, because a lot of times when you know somebody and they're fairly famous, you for some reason suspend normal thought process. You suspend your normal thing. Oh, this person wouldn't.
Yeah.
But maybe
especially
he's thinking,
when you're excited because you're like, oh, I never thought I'd be friends with this
Louis,
person.
he likes what I did.
Oh, cool.
But then he's thinking, these two fucking girls like me? Like they're going to come up to the room. We've been drinking. Again, I'm not hearing his side of it. I want to hear what he said and what he was thinking. I would love him to come out and go, look, yeah, I fucked up badly. I misread it. I really thought that they were on the same wavelength. And it's I would love to know that.
But I don't even, there's no way that he could, in hindsight, honestly have thought that they were on the same wavelength, unless, like, in the moment he could have tricked himself into thinking that way.
Sure.
But Louis, yeah, but after, like, once it happens and they run out of the room and all, like, that's why you silence them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why your manager...
Because you know afterwards that they didn't feel good about it. Yeah.
Yes.
I know what you're saying, Avery.
No, but I mean, women have... I guess some of it bothers me because it makes them such, and they are a victim, but such victims to everything. I mean, I feel like in corporate America where I work, there are many situations, and you just kind of have to assess it and say, you know what? I'm going to assert myself and walk away. And yeah, it could come back to where I don't get that promotion or I don't get to be this or that. But you know what? I've made the right decision. And if I'm sitting there and a guy gets naked, I'm leaving. And I don't care how important he is. That's creepy.
Yeah, I mean, look, some people are made up a little bit differently and more comfortable walking out of that situation. For me, on the phone is one thing, though. On the phone, you can always get off the phone. I won't say that the phone is the same. In the room, or the person's looking at you, and you're in the presence of a person who you admire, it is a little bit scarier.
Yeah.
If they're higher up on the ladder than you, I don't think it's for career advancement. I don't think it's, hey, I'll let him jerk off and I'll go places, so you're selling yourself out. I think it's, I'm uncomfortable and I'm scared that there's going to be a repercussion. Yeah, I think that does happen.
And you go, and there's a little bit of like, oh, I thought I was going to now be friends with this guy.
But I also don't think that Louis should be thrown in the same fucking boat. If this is all there is, he should not be put in the same boat with fucking Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey and other guys out there who they're saying are touching underage people.
Yeah.
Or fucking, I mean, it's like, let's be, real honest. The fucking allegations are piling up against Roman Polanski. There's one woman saying that he fucked around with her when she was 10. There's a lot worse shit happening in Hollywood than my dumb friend not knowing that he shouldn't pull his stupid dick out. All right, thank you, Avery.
No, wait.
Oh, sorry.
Wait, just one last thing. If you decide to stay because you admire this person, or you have some reason, whether it's furthering your career, whether you like this person, admire this person, whatever it is, if you decide on your own accord to stay, and how can you call them out later?
What if you're in shock and you're scared?
There are times, I'm talking more about the work. To me, the one that's a problem is at work. Like at work, again, with someone who's not necessarily your equal in position at work. Like if it's two writers, all right, that's shitty judgment, but if one's like, yeah, I'd love to watch you jerk off, and you're in the office doing it, like it's stupid to do it at work, that's a different dynamic than one person is higher than the other. It's the work stuff to me.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, because I don't know the comedy team, so I don't know what they're like as people. I don't think I've ever spoken to them, so I can't say like I know them as people either.
I just don't understand.
Thank you, Avery.
Appreciate the call. The one thing that all these stories for me have in common is I can't understand how many of these dudes, and it's all guys, like maybe because you just don't hear about women, unless it's like, I guess, teachers with students. You don't hear about women abusing their power like this. Like maybe it's just not, maybe just genetically, it doesn't happen.
You hear about it less, much less, occasionally, but much less. Yeah.
But like, I can't, these guys that just can't control their dicks, that just go crazy and do things that, like, as a person, you just kind of don't do. I guess I've just never been in that manic of a place.
See, and this is something I've kind of, it's every woman has dealt with stuff, and every man has creeped women out. We all have at times, maybe not on a certain level.
Not the tough dog.
Apparently he creeped out one woman.
You talking about his mom?
Yep. But we all have at times creeped women out. We all have. And
do you think even I've creeped out women?
I think the fact that you fell out of a vagina creeps out of women. Like the potential for this exists. Like, oh my God, sex could lead to. But every man, and there's guys out there who are like, I've never creeped. Yes, you have.
Yeah.
Most of us don't do it to a Harvey Weinstein level. But we've all thought that someone was enjoying something they weren't. And again, it doesn't have to be sex. It could just be a text message. Or it could just be something you're saying to somebody. And there is a place where a woman has to tell you, like, well, I'm not enjoying this. You do have to say that sometimes because we don't always know the rules either.
Yeah, that doesn't happen to not every man finds himself in it. Everybody creeps out somebody at some point, but not every man finds himself in a situation where a woman has to be like, whoa, I'm not into that. Slow down.
No, but sometimes like you've been kissing with somebody, or you're kissing a girl, you're out on a date, and you think she likes you, and then all of a sudden she ghosts you. I've had that. You go out with somebody, you think,
yep,
so
definitely, definitely.
It wasn't a creepy sexual thing, but I thought she liked me.
You misread.
Totally misread. Yes. I've misread many times like that. Like, this is going pretty good, and all of a sudden I just don't hear from her. I'm like, all right. Guess she didn't like my dirty text messaging. I thought she did. Oh, well.
Yeah, but you really send a lot of those dirty texts, don't you?
I do. Yeah, that's my fucking downfall.
You like them.
Yep. To me, it doesn't exist. It's not real. It's not. It's just something it's in your head.
How careful are you with who you send texts to, or how carefully you send them? Like, do you think, if you're looking at it from a sober point of view right now, you're not charged up right now.
Sure.
Have there been times where you're like, in hindsight, I shouldn't have sent that text.
Yeah, but it's usually I'll send it. It's never like the overt one is never first. Usually, you work your way into it because that's part of what I like about it. Like I like somebody's. It's not that I like consent because I'm a great guy. It's just I like that dirty part of another person, it doesn't turn me on somebody who's not feeling it.
Right.
And again, there's nothing to do with me being moralistic. It's just, it doesn't excite me.
It's probably an ego thing and a fear of rejection. Like, I couldn't handle it. If I even get a hint that somebody is not into what's going on, I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, it's not a sexy thing for me. What I like is somebody's dark secrets. Like, if somebody has them, like the things that women are embarrassed about. Like, I've always said that, like, if you've taken 5 dicks at one time and you're ashamed, you could never tell you, please tell me. I will hug you and I'll fucking kiss you.
I'll kiss that precious mouth.
But you know what I mean? Like, that is what turns me on, somebody's dirtiness.
Yeah.
Not somebody feeling like, whoa.
Right.
That's just never been my thing.
I get that.
Courtney in Virginia, yes.
Hi,
Hello.
how are you?
Hi.
Hi, so I'm in the medical device industry, and I'm in my 20s, and this is something that you kind of just know going into, like, a situation like that. Like, there's going to be really creepy surgeons that I've had to deal with, and you kind of just, I don't know, you have to have a kind of a mindset going in that, like, things can go a little south when you do dinners and there's alcohol involved, and you just kind of have to set boundaries ahead of time. So I have a hard time hearing these stories, and they're 10 years later, and all of a sudden...
Wouldn't Courtney?
They have a big problem.
Would it not be a good thing if, because of all this going on, you got to a place where you didn't just have to accept that surgeons were going to be creepy to you, like that all these people are getting called out, and it made it so that surgeons could not just be creepy, and you as a woman just have to realize, well, that's just the way things are. People are going to be creepy, and if I'm going to go to dinner with somebody, I have to assume that there may be some sexual misconduct. Like, wouldn't it be nicer if that wasn't the case?
It would be super nice, but it's kind of something you deal with if you're like a relatively attractive person and any situation.
Excuse me, I had no idea.
If you're, if you're out and there's alcohol flowing and you're just having a good time.
You mean bottles popping?
Yeah, bottles popping. If there's any sort of, like comfortable vibe at all, then you're gonna have to deal with people taking things and taking vibes like a different way than you mean for them to. And so that's when you have to kind of take responsibility for yourself and just know, I've had definitely situations where, like, I've had surgeons, like, full-on try to make out with me and things like that, and you just have to set the standard of, like, this is not going to happen. And then if it goes too far, which it's definitely gone, like, way too far, where I definitely could have done something about it, but I just say, look, I'm not covering your surgeries anymore. Like, this is what's going on. You involve HR if you need to, and it's unfortunate, but I just think that it's...
Well, this is HR for Hollywood. Like, there's no HR in Hollywood. So all you can do if you want to involve HR in Hollywood is tell the New York Times what happened.
Well, yeah, because if the problem becomes if you tell somebody, hey, I'm not comfortable with this, and like the one girl they said that he asked her on the set, and again he asked her, he didn't grab her. It's a shitty place to ask somebody, but again, he did ask for consent. It wasn't like he was like, fucking watch this bitch. But then she's like, no, and he goes, okay, and that's it. And then she does. She went and she told them, and I guess he apologized to her X amount of time.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know, like,
what more? I just don't understand, like, what some of these women that did get apologies and things like that. It doesn't make it right, but then it's like, what do you want now?
Well, I think the Times kind of comes to them and is saying, like, did this happen? They're just kind of telling what happened. I don't know necessarily. It's not like they're blogging about it a year later. They're a reporter calls you and asks you, and you're like, all right, well, if this is the story now, yeah, I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Courtney.
I guess, yeah, thank you.
All right. Take care. Yeah, women, look, it's interesting to hear women say, yes, Caroline in New York. Hello, Caroline.
Hey, Jimmy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey, man.
Good,
lady.
Good. I've actually been through this situation, something similar. But just before I start that, to let you know, on the CBS News this morning, they had the reporter that broke the Louis story, and she said that Louis is going to come out with a statement later today. Okay,
yeah, I hope so. I mean, and it's like, it's really weird when it's somebody that you are so close to and that you care about, because you do care. And again, it's hard with something like this too, because you're like, well, how did they interact with each other? There's a little bit of vagueness here, even though the work shit's very inappropriate. Like, if you're friends with a guy who's accused of pedophilia or accused of fucking rape,
very different.
It's a much different, and it's much easier to separate yourself. But I personally, if this is the way it is, I kind of wish he had spoken about this a long time ago and just said, look, this is what it is. It's a fucking, but whatever. What else, Caroline? Sorry.
I was just going to say that I wish people had more understanding as to how it's career suicide if you come out especially in the corporate world, if you come out and accuse someone of sexual harassment, I mean, I went through it myself. If you come out and accuse someone who has more power, who brings money into the organization, it is absolute career suicide. And to hear a woman say, one of your last callers say, well, if you don't like it, just leave. I mean, I've worked 15 years to build my career, so some asshole could say something horrible to me. And HR works for the company. So when people say go to HR, it's the last thing to do.
Well, you know what, Caroline? I'm going to say this. In the last X amount of years, I don't know if that's as true, because I think the last, and again, we're talking about in the last, not forever, because what's happened is lawsuits with major companies have cost companies $15 million and $10 million and $30 million. If it's proven the company had a prior knowledge of sexual harassment and allowed it to continue or was complicit in any way, that's why, especially when you get something like Kevin Spacey, they're like, no more house cards. Because technically Netflix doesn't shoot that, the production company does.
Right.
So once it comes out, that now they have knowledge, oh, forget it, no more. Because God forbid one more thing happens when they had prior knowledge, you're finished. So I don't know if that's as true now, but I
agree. But I agree, Jim. But the only problem is in most situations, the individual is fired, but you're painted with a scarlet letter.
Yeah.
So people stay away from you. And that's career suicide.
Yeah, it's almost like if Caroline gets sexually harassed, right, and she goes to HR about it, then now all the dudes in the office are like, oh, we can't say hi to Caroline because she's going to accuse us of sexual harassment, when probably what you accused this person of was legitimate. I mean, with this whole conversation, I don't understand why people want to skew this and say, well, why don't we just teach women to say no? Why don't we just teach women to walk out of the hotel room, when we finally have this option to instead teach everybody that the behavior is bad and that we should be shaming men who do this as opposed to women who don't walk out of a room?
I'll tell you why there's both of those things. It's because, again, the younger generation with this is smarter than we are, because they had a different set of rules when they were raised. But I'm 50, Louis 50, not that it excuses behavior, but when you're coming up, you're taught that a lot of times it's a dance you're doing. You're taught that seduction is a dance. You're taught that, hey, this is how we interact. A lot of times she'll say no because she's supposed to say no, but you got to finesse it, and then she'll say it. Like, you know, and you talk to your grandparents about how they met. How many times have you heard older people say, oh, I didn't like him at all. I hated him. And he wouldn't stop. He just wouldn't stop. Like, look at The Notebook. Consider this romantic film. And meanwhile, I hated that because this fucking cockblocker is hanging on the Ferris wheel while she's on a date with another guy. She's already told him no. And this guy's like, come on, go out with me. And she's like, oh, he's such a bad boy. Uh-huh. Like, you get these messages and you're taught that being the bad boy or hearing no, you know, again, I'm not talking about rape. I'm talking about this dance we do when you're becoming sexual, when you're interacting. A lot of times it's very easy to step back and go, hey, she didn't want it and you should have known that. But a lot of times there's been plenty of times where it's like a woman is like, yeah, she kind of did want it, but she didn't know how to say yes. She didn't want to feel like a slut. There's a weird dance you do where everybody is kind of not just saying, hey, I want to do this. And she's going, well, I don't. And then there are times where you literally don't know if someone is not interested or if it's a part of this weird communication that we have.
But every time that it becomes a problem, it's never a matter of the dance. It's a matter of the guy becomes aggressive and makes it happen.
But in this case, is that what it is? Where do they become aggressive? And I'm not defending because he's my friend. I'm saying I don't know what the answer is.
If you follow the timeline that's in this thing, it doesn't sound like there's any time to have the dance. Like, he just is like, okay, now it's time to masturbate.
I don't know about that. If you're downstairs and you're drinking with them, and maybe you're right. That very well may have been what happened. But if they're downstairs and they're drinking together, and he goes, hey, do you want to come up? And he thinks he's getting an energy that he's not getting. And they think they're getting a professional energy that they're not getting. He's like, well, they must know what I want. I mean, come on. They're two hot girls and I'm the guy.
Who doesn't want to sit there and just watch me masturbate?
I don't quite understand that either. But, I mean, it's not crazy. You can't pretend that men and women don't have these weird interactions. You can't pretend that men don't misread a lot of times the signals.
It is crazy to misread from, we don't even, like, we're not here to hook up, to I'm naked and masturbating. Like, you don't get that far off.
But if that's your turn on and that's what you're geared towards, and you think that that's what I don't understand how, because again, that's not how my mind works.
You can't cross signals to that degree. If they didn't want anything sexual and he's naked and masturbating, it's like, There's no way you can misread
Didn't he joke about it and they thought he was kidding? Maybe he didn't think that they thought he was kidding. And maybe they said that they were laughing and screaming. Again, obviously uncomfortable. But if you're in his headset and you think that this is what they like, or you think that they're getting off, or this sounds crazy. There are men who have fetishes for being laughed at. There are guys that have weird small dick fetishes for being laughed at. There's guys who get off on being laughed at and humiliated. So maybe he thinks that they're into the humiliation. Again, I don't know. It's not my turn on. But it's not crazy to think that sometimes you have to go like, well, I'm not enjoying this. And like you said, at times it makes somebody go, oh, okay, I literally thought you were. Because for me, it's being an exhibitionist and feeling humiliated about it.
I guess, but it's up to the exhibitionist who's got this kink that most people don't have to understand that most people are going to be like, what the fuck is going on right now? That it's not normalized to other people.
You might think that consent, you like again, the idea that somebody would say, do you want to watch me jerk off? Like the fact that somebody would put it that way. Do you understand what I mean? There's a different mentality there. Right. There's a different thought behind that.
But don't you think it's Louis' responsibility to understand that his mentality is not matched by other people, so his, just because it's not inappropriate to him does not mean that it's not inappropriate?
Of course. So he may think that he may know it's inappropriate, and by saying, hey, do you want to watch me? To him, maybe that's making it okay. Oh, she said no, okay. Like for him, if they don't say no, they're saying like, hey, do you want to do this? Like I never, for me, the seduction is kind of fun. Like I could never ask anybody, do you want to watch me jerk off? And again, it's just not my turn on.
Yeah.
But if your like thing is like, I like to do this, do you want to watch me? And how many women probably went, no, I don't. And he went, oh, okay. Like, I don't.
It's such a crazy.
But do you understand? Like that, it's just not my mindset. Yeah. But to say that signals don't get crossed, like if you're
just not. I mean, I just can't say it.
Thank you, Caroline. It's one of those things where I can't wrap my head around any of it because it's not my mentality. It's not something that gets me off. I don't understand the turn on of it. Mm-hmm. Like even if she says yes, I want to watch you jerk off. Well, then
it's like why?
Yeah,
why would you want to do that for?
That would have to happen. Like I like it, alone, play with my nipples. Fucking.
You like nipple play?
I do.
Travis, do you like nipple play?
No.
Troy,
I do not at all.
Okay, so it's just you, Jim, with the nipple stuff.
It's not even like on a list of things that I would like even consider.
I do like it.
Who's in there with you, Travis? Baby Nico?
Shitloaf.
No baby Nico?
Nico's getting the food.
Now, Matt in Philly said Sam is on fire. Hey, what's up, Matt? How are you?
Yeah, he is.
Very well. Good to call into the show. I listen to you guys all the time. You're always very smart. Today, Sam is right on the money. No matter what people call up with or what the comment is, don't skew it 1 degree. Just let it be lousy and let it go away. The more attention that this gets, the more people in the next day, year, or 10 years might not do anything weird like this.
What do you mean? Hold on. What do you mean? Don't give it the attention? It's a New York Times story.
I think he means don't justify
it. Let everybody come out. Let everybody tell their story, no matter if it's 10 years old or 10 days ago. I'm just saying it deserves to be said if it happened to you.
But you know what?
Were harassed or a guy got naked or took his dick out. Any of that. I don't mind what you do sexually. I'm just saying in regular environments or work environments.
But you don't think that it has to be, people are just talking about it. No one is saying don't come out and talk about it. We're just discussing it.
I think because there's so many people.
Callers. The people are calling and saying, hey, that was 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah. 10 years ago doesn't necessarily matter. But
not you guys. You guys are great. Keep talking about it. I just think ever since this came out, I'm 42 years old, and get this ball rolling because I've been bothered by guys, girls in public, at the job. And if it's happening to me, it's surely happening to hundreds of thousands and millions of people. So they got to get a light on this, and they got to stomp it out.
Well, by the way, who is the guy, the Republican under pressure?
Oh, my God.
Roy Moore has been accused. Thank you very much, Matt. It's unfortunate that the Louis story is almost bigger than this, and it's like just because he's a comedian or entertainer. This Roy Moore is what's he being nominated for? Senator?
He's on the ballot.
They're alleging that he fucked a girl, or sexual, not fucked, but did something sexual. She's alleging when she was 14 and he was 32.
Yeah, it's strict pedophilia. That's 100% pedophilia.
And they said he groomed her because her mother was there for jury duty or something. And he's like, I'll sit out here. You don't want to see what's going on in there. And
he was a judge at the time.
Oh, he was a judge, right. And he's like, I'll sit outside. Mm-hmm. No, he was a prosecutor. I think he was
I'm sorry.
He was a prosecutor.
And then he was a judge.
And then they're sitting outside. And he's like, I'll watch her. And as a woman, if you go to court, you're thinking like, all right, this is the prosecutor. And this fucking...
Especially back then. Like in the 70s or whatever?
79.
Yeah.
I just think that like all these stories should come out, and the more conversation that we have associated with these stories about how people should have said no or not gone to a hotel room or not complained about it or oh, you just regret it now. Like all of those conversations just lead to people not coming forward. And I think that the conversations at this point in time should be about people being creeps and that people shouldn't be creeps.
Yes, but you should also make sure that the people accused of being creeps knew they were being creeps and legitimately are guilty of it. Like you want to make sure that people
I mean sometimes no, I mean knowing that you're being a creep, like I don't think that it's an excuse to say like, "Oh, I didn't know I was being a creep." Well, you should have. Like, I think being guilty of it, yes.
It does make a difference. Again, I'm not talking Harvey Weinstein shit, but with interactions like this, it does make a difference if you know that you're being a creep. Because if you think somebody is enjoying it, if you think like, hey, again, I don't understand how you could think two women want to watch you jack off. But if you do, if you think that you got consent by going, hey, I'm going to pull my dick out, like, all right, like, or whatever they said, or you're being goofy because they're uncomfortable and nervous.
Yeah.
And you don't know they're uncomfortable and nervous. You guys have been drinking together, and all of a sudden you think, like, yeah, they're going to fucking, they want to watch me jerk off, they're going to humiliate, or whatever the fuck, I don't know.
I just think that, like, I love Louis, and you know, I'm sure that in his statement he will take ownership of it if it's true, and I think it probably is true. And
I don't think any of them are lying. It doesn't sound like lies.
And I think he'll take ownership, but I think that when this is the stuff that gets you off, I think, like, Jim, you're into some weird stuff, right? And I think I'm
into being the victim.
But I think it's your guys' responsibility, if you're into weird stuff, if I'm into weird stuff, it's our responsibility to understand how consent works to people whose brains don't work like ours, and it's not an excuse to say, well, this is normal to me, so I didn't know they didn't like it.
But they have to let you know they don't like it too. It's as an adult.
Well, you have to know that in the workplace, just asking the question is bad.
Work is a bad place to do it.
Right.
Work is a bad place to do it, and because you not only is it like it's uncomfortable because you have to see the person, but it's like you have to think just selfishly. It's like you can ruin your career by being, you know, if you're at HBO, you just can't do that.
Right.
Here, I mean, I don't fucking flirt with anybody.
Right.
You know,
except somebody sitting across the table from you.
It's not even flirting. You've given me mouth consent. We have a guest coming in just a minute. The reason we're stalling a little bit because we have to break and we have food coming up. So we're going to get Dave Rubin in here shortly from the Rubin Report.
He's a great dude. He worked here a while ago and he ventured out to do stuff independently. He's got an amazing YouTube channel. I mean, he was interviewing all these Milo Yiannopoulos and Ben Shapiro and like all the kind of big news making.
Is Dave a conservative guy?
He is. No, he's a moderate guy. He's just a really interesting dude. He's a gay dude.
Sure.
And you know, he kind of has had to deal with a lot from both sides because he's one of the few people that have been able to make a real living and make an impact as somebody who's like a truly moderate guy. He's not an extreme guy on one end or the other. He likes talking to people and allows people to have opinions that are disagreeable, which I always like.
Yeah, I mean, there are times where people are like, how come you're not calling out so and so? It's like, oh, they're just kind of saying what they want to say. I mean,
just let them you can, and you're free to, you know, we let this person talk, and if it's ugly, you're free to be like, that guy's an asshole.
Yeah. Someone, Will in New York. Hello, Will.
Hey, guys.
Hey, buddy.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Just quickly, I just wanted to say it's so weird that Sammy, you were just saying that about being free to say what you wanted to say, because when I was being screened by Shitloaf, he jumped the gun again and assumed he knew what I was going to say. So he jumped in and said, "Yeah, I don't want to talk about that." And
what did he say he didn't want to talk about?
Well, he didn't want to talk. I was going to bring up how those girls were saying how he was being creepy, and, you know, the infamous message, you know, I just want to fuck. And like when you guys had Lisa Ann on the other day, and she was saying like, oh my God, like it's so creepy, and how could that not have been brought to HR and stuff?
He didn't want you to bring up his.
Are we screening phone calls based on what?
Wait, whoa. Is that true? Hold on a second.
Shitloaf
Yeah,
didn't
he
want
tried to
his
lie
shit
to
brought
us,
up.
man. He tried to use his power over me.
All right, Will, we will thank you, but we have to go because we're going to take a break. I appreciate you waiting on hold, and I appreciate the call. So now, is that true? Before we take a break, is that true? Where's Shitloaf?
He's falling all over.
The only thing he was like, I just want to bring up, what you're talking when you were creepy with the girls, what they were saying. I was like, dude, we don't have to bring that up. We're talking about, Louis C.K.
But wait a minute, hold on. You put people through who want to tell me I suck. You'll put people through who say Sam sucks.
Look, there's
Troy's being a faggot. Like all these weird
on line
things.
8, there's a guy that says just wants to challenge. Let him in, Sammy. Just a guy who wants to challenge me.
We don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. So how come all of our stuff? And we've seen ugly things come through. They want to yell at us or tell us we stink. How come with your stuff you didn't want to put it through?
I mean, I don't know.
Were you acting in the show's best interest or in Anthony's best interest? Where are you going?
So close.
Where you going? You walk away from the microphone.
It's Friday, so close.
Why are you not letting calls through about you?
I didn't let.
Just be honest.
Not
Just
that I didn't let
be
calls
truthful.
through. I just don't want to talk about my situation that happened here with all this shit going on. It could.
So you're making that decision as the phone screener.
But dude, I first of all, that guy was going to say what he was going to say, regardless of what I said.
Don't no because
that guy will fucking hates me.
But if you don't put what he's saying on the phone screen, we don't have the option to go.
I put what he said on the phone screen. That's the first thing he said was what I put on the phone screen. And he goes, and I also wanted to talk about what you said about with the girls.
You have a bit today, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what if I say to my head, in my producer's mind,
I hope you say, "Here comes a bullet."
If I go, okay, I want to play Anthony's bit today. How do I get the conversation to be about Anthony? Oh, there's a caller that wants to throw Anthony under the bus for the messages. I can get that caller, and then I can lead into the bit. Jim, you see where that would work, right? You would probably think a similar thing.
I certainly do. But yeah, Anthony, you can't, because we've all, we don't have to go to the call, but if somebody calls up, and again, unless it's something we've said we don't want to, you still have to put it up. Troy, comment?
No comment.
Troy doesn't make comments about Anthony anymore.
Okay.
Anthony,
he just walks away from
any
the mic.
opinion on that, or are we way off?
No, you guys are right. I apologize. It won't happen again.
Why do you always say that? It always happens again. I've never seen anybody say it won't happen again more times. I've never heard that phrase more times.
Either.
You have 2 T-shirts that should come out. One should say, "I just want to fuck," and the other should say, "I'm very sorry, it won't happen again."
And a shitloaf hat.
Matter of fact, Travis, can you get me a drop of Anthony saying, "I'm very sorry, it won't happen again"? I would like it for my soundboard, please.
Of course, as long as it's okay with Anthony.
We can make an arrangement.
Okay, thank you for your permission, Anthony.
All right, let's take a quick break.
Yes.
Dave Rubin will be in here.
Yes.
And I got town halls tomorrow night, 9:45. I'm really looking forward to this gig a lot. And, call up. We'll talk to Dave Rubin. We got Joe Coy coming in, and we'll talk about whatever you want.
More Jim Norton and Sam Roberts after this.
Oh, we are coming back. Yes, indeed. Let's get our guest in there. Dave Rubin from the Rubin Report.
I apologize. It won't happen.
Yeah, let's get Dave in here.
Yes, we didn't mean to make him wait. We're just a few minutes behind.
Hello, pal.
Hello,
What's
Dave.
going on, man?
What's up, brother?
Good to see you.
How's it going, man? Where do you
Everything's good right here.
Right there, buddy.
Dave Rubin from the Rubin Report on YouTube.
Somebody sent me a tweet.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, I love when people I like meet each other. I guess they like me and they like you, and we haven't. Have we ever met? I don't know if we have.
Somehow we have not crossed paths before.
Because I know your name, I know what you do, but I don't think we've ever actually been in the same room.
I don't know how that has happened. Sam's tried to keep me away from you.
Understandable.
Right.
Sam's very territorial about me.
Yeah.
That's what it is. No, I don't want anybody to take Jim away from me. No, you have to have a lot of admiration, I think, for what you've done, Dave Rubin, because not only were you able to...
You're talking about exposing myself to strangers, right?
That's right, and nobody complains about it. It's just your body, I suppose.
Yeah.
No, but getting out of... see, a lot of people try to get out of Sirius because they're like, oh, it sucks around here. Oh, nobody's got a chance to succeed. And it's like 99% of the people that say this to me, I'm like, okay, yeah. And I can look at them in the eyes and know that they're going to leave here and do nothing.
You mean they're not going to further their career?
No, of course not. Because they're lazy people. That's why they're in the position that they're in.
You think that they're not succeeding at Sirius because they're bums?
They're bums. That's who they are. But Dave, several years ago, I met him here when we were both doing like weird shows on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
You know? And
I don't think they even knew I was doing a show.
No,
I just started showing up, and then they were like, who is that guy? And then, I had some other guy that knew how to turn some things on, and we just did our thing.
Right. Like, how'd they get in the building? Don't worry.
And then I saw you, and I was like, I think he's doing the same thing.
Right.
But I was like, this is something.
Right. But Dave ended up leaving Sirius, and he started working with a couple online networks and launched the Rubin Report. But since then, in the last couple years, you launched the Rubin Report as a completely independent entity where you're doing exactly what you want to do. It looks the way you want it to look, like you're talking to the people that you want to talk to, and it's become this like great success because I mean you can look at it and see the amount of work that goes into it, but congratulations on everything, man.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Well, real quick, all right, we'll get some compliments out of the way, and then we'll just move into whatever, it's masturbation stuff and the rest of it. Well, when we met, I mean, literally, Sam was doing his show in this little closet over there.
Sure, he was living his life.
I did think it was weird. You had all your clothes with you and everything. But we were, we're doing that show, you're doing that show, and I'm doing my thing. And that one night that I did your show, I was about to move to LA, and there was a hurricane that night.
Yeah,
right?
it was. Yeah,
there was a hurricane that night, one of the big ones, and literally they had like closed the city. We were the last two people in this building.
Right.
I remember thinking, I got to run out of here to get on the subway, which they had announced were closing at like 6 o'clock, and we're doing our thing, and it was like the Twilight Zone. Like, man, we are so committed to this lunacy, to like trying to do something.
Right, well, we got to do a show.
I don't know what the hell we were thinking. Next thing you know, the hurricane hits, half the city gets wiped out. But yeah, I realized that for me, this wasn't the place that I could really explode. It was great to do this. I love talk radio. I love this more than anything, actually. Just like sitting across from somebody and working through it. I love it. And but I realized I couldn't get to where I wanted to go here, so I left, and I'm my own boss, and it's pretty sweet.
You do a great job of picking people to talk to and guests, because like, I don't know, it was probably 2 years ago. It was before any of this stuff, but we were talking about like the guests you have, and you were like, oh yeah, I got a couple people that you should really meet. You were like, you ever heard about this guy Milo Yiannopoulos? And I was like, no, I never heard of it. And like I stared looking him up.
And like, don't blame me for that one.
You ever heard about this guy Ben Shapiro? And I'm like, I don't think I've heard of Ben. And I started looking him up, and it's like these giant voices now. Do they return your calls?
They do.
Good.
They do.
That's great.
Yeah, they do.
What do you think it is? Like, a guy like Ben is such a smart guy. Milo's a smart guy. What is it about people that we just dig in? Like, when it's political shit, whether you're left or right, people just fucking dig in, and then we don't budge. Because, like, for some reason, budging is seen as weakness.
Yeah, well, Milo said to me once that politics has become the new sport. He said that to me about 2 years ago, first time I had him on the show, and I didn't quite understand what he meant at the time, and now I fully buy it. Politics has become sports. You pick your team.
Yeah.
You do not show any weakness. You lie by omission every time someone else does something else.
When they make a great point, you just kind of glance over their great point.
You glance over the great point. You selectively figure out what to promote and what to ignore. It really is just terrible.
It really
I mean, politics, and the fact that politics, what bothers me more than anything else right now, is that politics has seeped into everything. Sports is now about politics. Turn on ESPN. What are we talking about? We're talking about kneeling the flag and women broadcasters, and it's just like, this is terrible. It's completely infected Hollywood with all the scandals now. Politics is everywhere. It's why I'm more libertarian now than ever before, because I think politics and politicians should have nothing to do with us.
Right.
Name three good politicians. You can't.
Right.
Name three between the two of you. Can you name three?
Let's see.
That have to be living.
Millard Fillmore. Okay. Jimmy Carter.
Good man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan, but all right.
Me neither, but I think he was a good man.
All right, so fine. So one 90-something-year-old guy who had one term who's been out of it for 40 years.
And is
But you're right. I can't.
And is kind of known as a kind of a not a great president.
Not a great
No, who was a nightmarish president, but a decent fella who builds houses for poor people.
He was a legitimate.
He's a good man.
A legitimate man. And he put my father out of work. My father was a truck driver because Jimmy Carter did something. My father hated Jimmy Carter.
Did he?
That's funny. I ask you for one politician, you pick the guy who put your dad out of work. That's
yeah. My dad was vice president. My father's Walter Mondale.
Do you find it difficult? Because I feel like you're, especially in the YouTube sphere, like so many people, they do pick their team because it really is weird. You're right about politics. Like when you like a team, when the Yankees are having a bad year, you're never supposed to not. You're not supposed to then go like, okay, well now I like the Mets because they're winning.
Yeah.
But in politics, if the opposite team is making more sense, you are supposed to.
Of course you should. I mean, that's why on my show I talk way more about political philosophy and understanding what it actually means to be liberal, what it means to be libertarian, what it means to be conservative, what it means to be left or right, which all of those things are just flipping all over the place right now because actually most funny comics right now actually are right. I mean, that's a huge shift. I mean, you look at what's going on with stand-up, which is basically dead at the moment, I think. I mean, there's a couple guys like you and Rogan and a couple others that are still funny. But go on Twitter and see what these hysterical, whining, bitching comics have become, these preening people asking for Milo's book to be banned and bitching and moaning and they're basically arms of the Democrats. So everything funny these days is actually coming from people that care about freedom, which is what comics are supposed to care about.
I think Milo even said that, and this is where like the left, who I agree with on most social issues, but that's where they kind of lost me. It's like, you guys are the ones that were supposed to protect things you hated being talked about or joked about.
Yeah.
And just because now a lot of the things that are the sacred cows are your things, you got to have the same mentality.
But they don't. I mean, look at these. I mean, freaking Sarah Silverman and Judd Apatow, and I mean, plenty of guys that that I'm sure you're friends with, probably. But look at their Twitters, and it's like, it's not just that you're not funny. You've become the preaching, whining people you're supposed to make fun of.
Yeah.
And by the way, I asked them all to come on my show, and they don't, because they're very smart and clear politically on Twitter. But to actually sit across from someone and have to explain what you think, that's a whole other.
Yeah, but as a comic, look, does everyone on social media, do we all babble a little bit? Of course we do.
Sure.
But it's like a comic, you got to at least try to be funny. Like you have to try to stand up there. My job is not to fucking educate the audience.
Yeah.
That's not my job. I don't have a responsibility. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
It's to express my opinions and try to be funny with it, and that's it.
That is it. Look, you want to. Hopefully, you want to say something.
Yeah.
But if you think about what's going on with comedy right now, I mean, George Carlin, who to me is the greatest stand-up ever, bar none. I mean, I don't even. You can do the Pryor thing, but to me, Carlin, because of the breadth of the work, is number one by a long shot. He would be booed or banned from college campuses right now, and that concept, because he's an old white man. I mean, he's an old rich white man. That's what he would have been right now. And it's like, we have got to stop this thing, because a society that can't make fun of itself this is a recipe for disaster.
It really is interesting about the conversations that don't want to be had, because I would think, like, I don't like tweeting that much because I feel like I don't really say anything smart in 140 characters. I feel
isolate that.
I think that the only time I say anything even remotely smart is if there's like a little sentence after in the middle of about 150 sentences, I'll accidentally say something smart.
You say smart things. Someone's like, what happened in that match? You always have an answer for that.
That's about wrestling.
Oh, dude, I got to tell you about the 2 hours I spent with Hulk Hogan, but that's a total sidebar.
Oh, no, you weren't videotaped, were you?
Well, I'm going to
Yeah. I'm trying to get in on this thing, you know what I mean? Like, yes, Hulk Hogan forced me in a room and masturbated in front of me.
I'm going to ask you about that for sure.
Yeah.
But you would think that's when
That was a joke, people. That was a joke.
Conversations are where, like, you can create ideas, right?
Yeah.
Or when your idea gets challenged, you're like, oh, you know what? That might be right. And it's odd that a comedian who's supposed to exist in that world would not want to have that.
Yeah, but it's partly because the left has owned everything for so long. So when you say you're probably left on social things, it's like, actually, I would bet if we really kind of whittled through it, you're libertarian in those things. You probably don't give a shit about gay marriage and who smokes pot and what the hell you do in your own house. All of those things are thought of as left, but actually the government and your neighbor should have nothing to do with them. So most things that I think people think that they're left because of, you're actually just a libertarian.
More libertarian, yeah.
Yeah, you just don't care. I mean, most comics actually should be libertarians. The whole point. I genuinely don't care what my neighbor is doing as long as that shit doesn't leak into my yard.
Sure.
And that's the way most people should live. That's the way I was in DC last week and I did like the full-on tourist thing, which I've done many times before, but all the monuments and all that. Go into the Jefferson Memorial, which is a little off the beaten path, so people don't go there. And he has these incredible, these huge parables that he's written. And it's like, go there and read them. And it's like, this is the country we're supposed to live in, because he's talking about tolerance, but he's also talking about why religion shouldn't be part of the state, while he's also talking about God. And these are people, he's a guy who owned slaves while was writing the laws to free the slaves. Like, we're all complex people in our time. And it's like, we're listening to the worst type of people all the time. Yeah. And we got to stop doing that.
Yeah. What happened with you and the Young Turks? Those guys, I don't know much. I know that they come out, they're pretty liberal.
Do you find that?
Yeah, but I mean, that's really pretty much what I know about them. I've seen them bash Anthony a little bit, but I mean, who are they?
Kumia, you mean?
Well, I would say they're left, not liberal. So if you're liberal, you actually real liberalism, classical liberalism means live and let live. In effect, I mean that's what a real liberal is. You're liberal about things. You're okay with people thinking differently. That's the whole purpose of liberalism. They're leftists, which really is about power and controlling people. And what it really is now is just this endless oppression Olympics. You're black, so you should think this way. You're Muslim, you should think this way. And we got to fight on this little pecking order of who's more oppressed than who, which actually is the essence of prejudging, which is prejudice, is prejudging, right? And this is what the left loves now. So if you look at a black person and you think, well, I know what you should think because of the color of your skin, that's prejudice.
I don't see color.
Yeah.
You've never noticed?
Don't see it at all. You're completely colorblind.
You guys are white. I didn't even notice. Just to be clear.
I'm actually identifying as a black Muslim transsexual with a limp or something.
You got my vote.
Yeah, right, exactly. But anyway, I was with them for a while, and I was never like full on crazy progressive, but I was liberal, and we had a lot of room to operate together. But they slowly went off the deep end. I mean, Cenk was my boss.
Who's Cenk?
And Cenk is the main guy from the Young Turks, and he basically, I know you know about this, Jim, you probably do, but Sam Harris was on Real Time with Bill Maher that night with Affleck, and they were talking about Islam, and Affleck called
Affleck.
And Affleck called Bill Maher and Sam Harris gross and racist because of just quoting peepholes. That's it. And then the next day, the entire media was saying Bill Maher is racist and Sam Harris is racist. Like, Bill Maher has stood for every liberal principle ever. You may argue with those principles, but if you think Bill Maher is a racist,
it's simply not true.
Yeah, you're completely bananas. But then I saw this feeding frenzy, and then once I really saw it, then everything that the left did had nothing to do with substance or what laws do we have and how should we govern. It was all about this constant hysterical preening and screaming at people, and everyone's a racist and a bigot and a homophobe and Islamophobe, and they literally don't know what they're talking about. Like, where do rights come from? You know, what are we guaranteed in this country? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and a couple other things. You're not guaranteed the right not to be offended. And it's like the left has become this insane monster, and I truly think it's it's actually an existential threat to America. I really believe it.
Sam Harris too. He's the guy who really understood. He was talking about what extremism is and the percentage. And Ben Affleck kind of came off looking like a complete dolt. Yeah, because it was like you like just childish emotions. And this guy wasn't. I didn't think this guy hated Muslims. I think he was just saying this is who are extremists, and this is who these people are, and this is who are not extremists.
Of course. And all he did was quote pupils. I mean, that's what he did. He said there's a subset of people that are jihadists, meaning they want to use violence to move political goals. There are some people who are Islamists, meaning they want to use political systems. And then he said most are nominal Muslims, the same way that there are nominal Christians and Jews who just want to live their life. But then it was just the feeding frenzy after that. When I saw that, you know how sometimes you see something in life and then you can't see back. You know what I mean? You just can't. And then I saw it everywhere. And now somehow in these last 3 years, just everything that I kind of saw has just like bubbled into reality. I mean, we see this now endlessly.
Well, I was
college campuses and everything else.
Because typically, like Ben Affleck, he has such wisdom. I just enjoy him so much.
Yeah, Jim's always looked at Ben Affleck not so much as an actor, but a mentor and a leader,
a life mentor,
a life leader.
Yeah.
Have you had anything? I mean, you're luckily, and I think I don't know. I think media people, especially if you talk about real stuff, being independent is kind of the future and the only way to be. Yeah. Have you had anything that has popped up where it's been like, oh, Dave Rubin is evil and he's the enemy? And
I mean, I've had, freaking Mother Jones and these bullshit sites writing crazy things that I'm the new leader of the alt-right and I'm an extremist to the further right of Breitbart. I'm gay married, I'm pro-choice, I'm against the death penalty, I'm for legalizing weed, I'm for strong public education. Like these people, but this is what I'm saying.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Like, how much more do you want?
Strom Thurmond over here.
yeah, really. I love that. I hope you guys don't mind I'm doing this in my hood. I hope that That's not a problem for you.
But that's such a great thing. I've heard people be like, look, I'm pro-gay marriage, but it's very rare for somebody who's accused of being overly conservative to be like, I'm gay married.
I'm not even gay. I just did it to prove a point. You know what I'm saying? Like, but this is how miserable. I mean, these people are just miserable. I had Der Spiegel. You know Der Spiegel. It's the biggest magazine in Germany. So it's like Newsweek or Time of Germany.
Oh yeah.
They came to my house, spent literally from 8 a.m. to about 10 p.m. with me. I shot a couple shows. I had one woman, this woman Yasmin Mohammed, who was married to a member of Al Qaeda, who then rejected extremism. She fights for liberalism. One of the most wonderful people I've ever met. Had her on. Had my friend Faisal, who's a refugee from Iraq. Saddam killed his brother and his uncle. He's now here in America fighting for freedom. So I interview the two of them. Der Spiegel's watching the whole time. I do a free speech event that night at UCLA. A couple hundred people there. All we talk about is free speech. That's it. They spend hours with me interviewing me, but I noticed the guy's not writing anything down, and I'm just going. So there's a law. So then they write this piece. They take some pictures of me on the front page of Der Spiegel, something like the rise of the new alt-right with my picture. Okay. Wow. By the way, I grew up with Holocaust survivors in my family. So for putting me on the front page of the biggest paper there, the rise of the new alt-right. But what this guy did, he was such a slime bag, and it's taught me everything I need to know about how to go about interviews and all that. He didn't quote me once in the article, even though he spent literally 12 hours with me, because there's a law in Germany that if you're being quoted in print, they have to run the quote by you. So that you can't, they have to actually confirm, you have to confirm that you said it. So they run this entire piece on me, and he didn't even quote me once. And this is the level of journalism. So then I write the guy, pretty nasty email, and he goes, well, if we really wanted to get you, we would have used a bad picture, but look at the picture of you. And I happen to look good in the picture. I'm kind of like, but it's like, that's the level. Journalism is just dead. Everything. I saw a guy next in the studio over here, CNN is fake news on his sweatshirt. So it's all coming to be. It's all coming to be.
It's funny. It was Anderson Cooper too.
Have you, I mean, when I was explaining who you were right before we went to break, I kind of see you in the political sphere as one of the more moderate dudes who's doing this. And I kind of, not you, Jim, and I kind of marvel at the fact that you've been able to develop an audience by being, in my mind, moderate. Like, you're not the alt-right guy. You're not Milo, and you're not Ben Shapiro, but you're also not the Young Turks. Like, you're not this guy who's like, I'm going to Dave because he's going to agree with my opinion. You're just like a vessel for conversation.
I mean, I genuinely believe that if we would just stick, it sounds like a crazy right-wing Ted Cruz thing to say, but if we would just care about what it says in the Constitution, it's the greatest document ever. You are free to live your life. And that's what people need to understand. So I don't know what your feelings are on abortion or death penalty or whatever. It doesn't matter.
I am one.
You're the result of a late-term abortion. Yeah, there you go. But that point, like, the whole point of living in a country with 350 million people is we're going to have a gajillion different opinions. And you got to accept that. You can't look to destroy that.
No, there's only supposed to be two.
There's supposed to be two opinions. And really one opinion is what we really mean.
There's a good one and a bad one.
Yeah, exactly. And so for me, it's like, it's not, I don't get offended easily also. I did stand up for a long time.
Do you still do it?
It's like, not really. I should be. I've been doing, I'm going to schools and I'm talking mostly about free speech, and I kind of end up doing a lot of crowd work, and I kind of open with a couple of jokes, and I miss that part of my life. I really do. Like, and a lot of people have been kind of dragged me back in. Rogan keeps kind of pushing me, and a few other people. But I don't want the life again. You know what I mean? Like, I did that life, and I don't want that. But I do, I miss being funny, I guess. I think I was funny once or twice.
But there is a rise of younger conservative people like Steven Crowder.
I love Crowder.
I do too. And Louder with Crowder, I think now has 1 million subs or something.
Yeah, I saw you did a video last night for him, me too.
Oh, they should. Yeah, he's a fucking animal, man. But he works hard. Like, you watch Steven Crowder, he's a guy that was going out and doing interviews and doing sketches, and like, he has been working that for a few years.
Yeah,
and he made this into this incredible vehicle. But it is kind of nice now that you don't have to be dictated to, because there's so many other alternative ways to go out and get your opinion out there.
Crowder's killing it. I mean, he's funny. He's saying something. He's saying the reverse of what 90% of comics are saying, and he's doing it in a funny way. I mean, that's actual comedy. They kind of wanted me to join him over there at CRTV. It's not. I love being independent. I do whatever I want. I built a great home studio. I saw your home studio, by the way. It was pretty freaking sick.
Thank you.
But like, I have no boss. The chances I'm going to say something and fire myself are pretty slim.
But can't they screw you over with advertising? Like, don't
they
YouTube
have.
doing that?
Have you gotten hit? Because YouTube does now, like, I have to literally, because they do it with political stuff, and then they did it with pro wrestling. They just did it with any pro wrestling, and I have to go through and like make sure that each video gets individually monitored specifically by YouTube, so that each video now has to get individually approved by a person for ad revenue. Otherwise, the default is nope. If the word wrestling is in there, or if there's anything political, if it's a political opinion, which, you know, a ton of my videos have, nothing.
Why can't
unless it's reviewed.
Oh, the political opinions have to be reviewed. That's crazy.
It's a little unclear what the exact policy is, which is actually, for me, that's the real reason I'm annoyed at them. If they would just tell us what the policy is, all right, here's the policy, like no one's forcing me to be on YouTube, like, all right, well, there's your policy, okay. But it's this sort of arbitrary insanity where it's like you're going to get, you know, demonetized for doing a wrestling video. I'll do 5 videos in a row on free speech that are okay, and then I do something, the same exact video, the 6 ones on the same thing, right? And then they demonetize that. But the bigger issue for what you're talking about is that when they demonetize, you make all your money on YouTube in the first 24 hours. That's the way the algorithm works. That's where all your views are coming, right? So by the time you've already now submitted the thing and the person has to read the thing, you've already lost 90% of your
You
reps.
missed that entire first bump of like people who subscribe, going like, "Oh, cool, new video." They're like, "Oh, good news!" After 48 hours, good news. You can monetize your video now, and you're like, for the 15 people left to watch.
The following content has been identified by the YouTube community as inappropriate or offensive to some audiences. But isn't that any opinion you have? If you come out and go, you know what, I think that gay people should be treated with equality and love, you've offended a lot of religious people. If you go up there and say, I love the Lord, you've offended atheists. That's really vague.
It's almost like it makes me like, I don't, when I post stuff on YouTube now, I don't promote it. When I first, like, I don't like tweet out, "Hey, just posted this video."
I mean, think how whack that is.
Yeah,
you know,
like, you're like, "Don't look at it yet. Don't look at it yet. Don't look at it yet."
You know, it's crazy. At the beginning of September, so in August, my channel was basically decimated. They demonetized everything. Our revenue was off by like literally 90%. It was ridiculous. So then they had me on Tucker Carlson to talk about it. I go on literally 2 minutes before I'm going on live. YouTube, they had asked a statement from YouTube. YouTube issues a statement. They say 90% of Rubin's videos are monetized. The ones that aren't have to do with ISIS, porn, and drug use. So I quickly, fortunately, the Tucker people, who are actually very upfront, and Tucker's a great ally in this space, they showed us the statement before I went on live. I had my guys jump into our channel. I mean, everything they said was a lie. First off, the videos they were referring to when I was on the Young Turks, and the Young Turks is one of their biggest partners. So that whole thing, their whole channel should be deleted or demonetized if that's the rules they're playing by. Anyway, that very morning, I had Phil DeFranco. Do you guys know Phil DeFranco?
Definitely.
So Phil's a great guy. He's a huge YouTuber, one of the first guys that really made it from
You know what's
there.
great about him? He started as like young, and he's doing like goofy kid videos, right? And they were just like opinions on, hey, Katy Perry wore a crazy dress, and he's like really developed into this really smart dude with great takes and opinions on things, and it's just crushing.
He's killing it. He's guy's got like 6 million subscribers. He's telling the truth. He does it in like a fun, honest, decent way. Anyway, that very morning I had interviewed him and we put the video up and they demonetized that. So they literally are issuing a statement while I'm live. So anyway, I called him out on it. I was like, I don't want to fight Google on Fox. Like, this doesn't make sense. But since that day, my channel's basically been in good shape. So something happened, like something sort of hit the ether where they kind of were like, all right, I guess we have to back off him, which is kind of shitty because I don't know if it's happening to a zillion more people. It still happens to us a little bit, but they went from like actively trying to kill us to basically backing off.
How do people do that? Like, how do you like shut down? Like, I listen to a lot of things. I think people are fucking dopes. I never wanted to stop them. Like, who gives a fuck?
Because this is what outrage culture has done. This is what it has created, and that's why it's killing comedy. I mean, that's why everything is now.
But like, YouTube is supposed to be like the only way. Like, YouTube's not going to get to the next level by like making original scripted sitcoms. They're going to be like, it's going to be the young people and the vloggers, of course. But like, in terms of getting anyone who's over 22,
but you got to remember,
it's going to be people with different opinions, right? It's going to be the Crowders and the Turks and the Rubin, and like everybody's got to be able to make money doing it.
But the thing is that they have let this idea, this fake nonsense idea of diversity of color and sexuality and all that, which that stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That stuff doesn't matter. What should matter is diversity of thought. You should care what the person, regardless of their color, is. Because as I said, that's prejudice. If you look at someone and think you know what they think because of their color or their sexuality. But they've allowed this diversity thing to actually be more important than their business. So I don't know if you guys followed that whole thing.
I don't see color.
Yeah, I can see you looking right through me. It's incredible.
I just see 2 eyes and teeth.
But you know that guy, James Damore, the guy that got fired from Google because he fought back on the diversity memo?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he basically said that in effect, they are letting the idea of this fake diversity affect the algorithm. I mean, affect the way people get knowledge. So to your point, it's like, you don't care. You don't want anyone fired over what they think or whatever. You can protest them if you want, but let's not go for everyone's money. But they've actually let that be part of their business model now. And that's how do we defeat that? I don't know.
If it's truly this offensive thing that people don't want to hear, the market will dictate, right?
Well, just don't watch.
Right, exactly. And then you're not going to make ad revenue if nobody watches your video.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we're in a building that was almost hand built by Howard Stern. And remember in the movie In Private Parts where they come in and they're yelling at him over how many people hate him, and then the other woman comes in.
Him, why do they keep listening?
Exactly.
Answer most commonly given: they want to hear what he's going to say next.
Bingo. So you know what? If you don't like something, people will. I'm sure they've done this to you guys too. They'll be like, "I was listening about, and I hate you, and you Nazi." Blah blah blah. I'm like, is someone forcing you to watch? Because if they are, I want to know who this person is so I can get them around. Yeah. You know, I want to spread this guy around town. You know, like let's force more people to watch.
Yeah, people. People do. Every day it's different. They hate us for this. They love us for that. They hate us for that. They hate us for that. A lot more hates. Yeah. But I mean, they let their opinion be known.
Yeah. It really
but
is.
you must be feeling this though in the stand-up thing, that at any point you could say something now that will get clipped out of context, thrown on YouTube, and next thing you know, they're screaming for Sirius to take you out.
You can, yeah. I mean, it can happen. It's one of those things where as a comedian, we've all said a million things. But I guess you have to at least have faith in your own ability to defend your point and to say, this is why I said it. And, I think if you're fairly truthful and fairly honest, it's less interesting for people. I think it's more fun for people to uncover people who they feel like they're getting, who they feel like they're getting dirt out of. Or like, hey, look what you do. Like, you never acted like you did that, and now look what you do.
I just want to be very clear, because of the Louis C.K. thing, that anyone that I ever masturbated in front of asked me to do it.
They did.
I just want to be very clear about that.
Yeah, it's a weird thing too. We talked about that before, the vagueness of what like, do you really think that people want you to jerk off in front of them, or did he know that they didn't? Like,
right, if you know unless they said do this, or it was like tacit, right, then you can't masturbate in front of people. You know what I mean? But if they say do it, or if it's part of the agreement, then go to it. You know what I mean? I'm a libertarian.
That's libertarianism.
That's a beautiful thing. Because I like to put my ideas into practice. You know what I'm saying? But you can't walk into a room, start masturbating, and then be like, everyone cool with this?
Yeah, I'm already doing it. Like, are you okay if I keep doing this?
Thank you for the hand motion while you're doing that.
Yeah,
and the hunch too.
Yeah, and it's and the arm is doing way too much movement. That's exaggeration.
Yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot in the elbow.
Have you ever had any of the gay advocates come after you because they don't like?
No, they ignore me because they don't know what to do with me.
Well, they don't like any sort of conservatism. Right?
I mean, this is
right-minded thinking.
Exactly. I mean, this is what they do. Right. So when I leave here, I'm going to do David Webb on Sirius XM Patriot. David happens to be a black conservative. I know this guy pretty freaking well. These are his beliefs. He's not faking it. I mean, I know him well. And I was on the Young Turks once, and they actually played a clip of David Webb on Fox, and they kept referring to him as the token black guy. And that was one of the moments when I realized how messed up this is, because it's like, You're looking at this guy and think, because you see his color, that you think he can't actually have these thoughts, or he's a sellout, and it's like, no, these are his thoughts. And so when you get through that,
really saying token black guy is saying, well, Fox only hired him because he's black, and it's like, isn't that what you criticize everybody else for saying?
Bingo. I mean, look, even right now, so I'm doing Gutfeld tomorrow. Fox is the only one that puts me on, and people are like, well, why don't you go on MSNBC, you right-wing maniac? And I'm like, you want me to stand outside and bang on the door?
Absolutely. They don't put you on sometimes. Yeah. They just don't do it.
Yeah. And by the way, I wouldn't do any of their shows unless it was live, because I'm done doing that, where they're going to selectively edit you and all that stuff. I'll do it live if you want, but that's it. I happen to do the Fox stuff because some of it's live, and Gutfeld's a good guy, so I
like
know
Greg very much.
Yeah, he would make sure that you wouldn't be selectively edited. if it happened to not be live.
That's why I love radio. I'm doing Hannity this afternoon, and I love his show. Even though he's like a really, really conservative guy, when Opie and Anthony got in trouble, Sean was one of the guys that came out and stuck up for them and said, if you don't like it, don't listen.
Yeah.
You can turn the dial. Like, he was one of the guys that were defending them, and even though they're at one point competitors and in the afternoon spot, and at one point, obviously much different toned show, but I've always loved him for that, is the fact that he's always defended people's right to say what they want to say.
Well, you remember, what was it, like 4 or 5 months ago when there was this big movement to get Hannity fired from Fox? And
For
what? He was going deep into that Seth Rich story,
Right,
and the
yes,
parents,
yes.
I guess, were upset. It doesn't even matter, actually, what it was, because all it was people that don't listen to him, don't watch him, trying to get him fired. That's the dangerous thing. If your own audience, like if your whole audience, if the whole audience of this show was suddenly like, man, these guys just suck, they're terrible, it's boring, blah, blah, blah. Well, then SiriusXM can be like, all right, we got to make a decision.
Don't give them any ideas. Don't give
No, I actually saw a memo when I was walking in. So, but if people who don't listen to you, that just hate you because you're different or you think differently, if they're coming after you, that shows something. That shows just a huge intolerance of other opinions. It's one thing when it's your own people that are like, all right, if they looked at the numbers and they were like, nobody's watching, okay, now, but if somebody's watching. Of course you can protest. You can protest all you want. I'm just talking about the sort of higher philosophical level.
Right.
And,
unless you start getting into the worlds of like legit sexual assault and
if you've done a criminal act, of course. I mean, I'm employed by myself, but everyone's employed by somebody. So it's like, even the NFL stuff, it's like, I don't mind the people protesting at all. They can do whatever they want, but they are employees. If you guys have employees,
exactly.
It's like if your employee was like, well, I'm gonna 5 times a day, I want to spend 15 minutes circling, we're just running in circles. You might be like, well, I'm paying you, so
you can't do that.
Right. So they can do it, but it doesn't mean that there's no consequences. If at the end of the day, the owners are looking at this and going, wait a minute, actually ratings are now down 10%, we're selling less jerseys, blah, blah. It's just a business decision. And everyone thinks it's some hysterical racist thing. It's like, no, I don't turn on football games for politics. You know?
I think
I don't watch ESPN anymore.
They handled it poorly, though. The NFL, they should have just let it, like, all right, you do what you want to do. We don't, because then it wouldn't have been the big story. The fact that it became such a big story is when people cracked down on it.
People started kneeling in protest of the fact that they couldn't kneel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's really once it got like at its highest point. Half the kneeling was done just because they were in favor of Kaepernick, but like it had completely gotten off the rails of what the original message was.
And if people don't turn off football because the players have been at times have hit their wives, and they're going to turn it off for that, I mean, that says a lot about the audience too.
That's a great point. So we all have these little things that trigger us in different ways. So it's like, this team, they've got the murderer and the wife beater and the guy who killed 3 people with drunk driving and the blah blah blah.
Dog
he beat
killer.
his kids, dog killer, all good. Now, he didn't kneel. Or he kneeled. You know what I mean? Oh, shit. Well,
yeah, it's crazy.
What did you think?
I just said it twice. What a fucking non-opinion.
Totally
it's crazy shit going on.
Easy with the edgy stuff.
I'm like a bad comic from the '80s. Crazy shit happening. Hoping that the thought comes.
Yeah. Middle of the road, crazy guy.
Yeah,
that's just
nuts. It's just nutty shit happening, folks.
What do you think of the Las Vegas shooting? You think there's some more than meets the eye here? There's not a lot of facts that have come out about this thing.
Yeah, well, so that's the one thing I would say is something seems off in that. I mean, this was a horrific, absolutely insane mass murder. Why do we know so little?
The Ohio family murder?
No, Las Vegas murder.
The Vegas
one. Why did I think you just said Ohio? Okay.
I don't know. It's Cleveland rocks.
I don't even know which one the Ohio
there was
is.
like
I think
people in a family killed a while ago, and they said it might be over drugs or something.
Oh, I don't even know about that one. But that also tells you where we're at, where it's like you wake up in the morning, and even when the thing happened in New York 2 weeks ago, it's like by the afternoon,
it's done.
You're already on to something else, which is, it's kind of good in a way, because if these things are going to keep happening, you got to keep living.
Right.
But at the same time, it's kind of bad, because it's like we're becoming so desensitized to it. It's 20 more people were killed,
So there's 2 theories about the Vegas shooting that I've now heard. And I don't believe the conspiracy theories, because I haven't heard any actual evidence to back up these theories.
That's generally how conspiracy theories work.
But I also think that there's not enough there's not enough information out there for me to believe the real story either.
Yeah.
But the conspiracy theories now are the first one is that it was some sort of heist, and it involved it could have been the Saudis or some foreign entity.
Yeah.
And it was like this big deal that Vegas is trying to cover up. The second thing is that people are saying is that it could have been some kind of FBI, Al Qaeda arms deal, and those arms were part of a massive deal that they were selling to, ISIS, I guess, and it went south.
Let me ask you a question: if it's an arms deal, why are you doing it in the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas? Like, there's so many motels you can go to.
We're hiding in plain sight, Jim.
Why are you doing an arms deal with the Saudis or ISIS or whoever it is in Mandalay Bay? And it doesn't make any sense.
It sounds like a bad movie. Like, we're doing it during the Britney Spears concert at the
there's a million
Where's
places
Her concert.
to go.
Well, look, I would say the thing that I quote all the time, which is one of my favorite lines, Carl Sagan, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So I can play with that space.
Yes.
And it was the Saudi arms deal and the thing and the guy who came in with the... But I would say you need evidence, and I
don't have any evidence to back up either of those two things.
I can only spend so much brain power, going down those routes.
I quote Carl Sagan all the time, but I just say billions
and billions. He actually never said that on the Tonight Show.
Did he really?
Yeah, he wrote a book. Actually, his last book was called Billions and Billions, and he opens it up by saying that everyone thinks that's what they all, Johnny Carson and everybody says that he said it all the time. He actually never said it on the Tonight Show. Great book, by the way, which he died right before he finished the book, which was really interesting. And then his wife finished it. But it's a phenomenal book that actually also had a lot to do with my political awakening, because when you start thinking clearly, you can see a lot of this nonsense.
He didn't believe aliens had arrived. He believed they existed but hadn't arrived. He thought they couldn't cover the great distances. I think that was Carl Sagan's belief.
Well, Contact with Jodie Foster. I mean, that's basically...
He wrote that, right?
Yeah, that's his only fiction book.
Did you have to... ingratiate yourself to the YouTube community? Is that a thing?
Well, the YouTube community is a very specific thing. I don't consider myself a YouTuber. I happen to be to me, it's like I'm making something. I don't care where. Yeah. If people listen on Spotify, they listen on iTunes, they watch on YouTube, whatever it is. There is an interesting community there that there's a lot of goodness out of. But there's also a certain set of crazy people that everyone just wants clicks. So it's like, oh, you see someone getting clicks, I got to attack them because I know that will drive my clicks up.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm not interested. The reaction video is big business on YouTube.
Do you like Blair White? I love Blair White.
So I had Blair on last week. I like Blair. She's been on a couple times, but did you see this? I had Blair and this girl, Candace Owens, Red Pill Black is her YouTube name. And basically I had the two of them on to debate. And you've got to see this thing. I don't know. Save Dave. # Save Dave was trending on Twitter.
I saw it. It's great. I saw all your retweets and everything. It was awesome.
For 2 hours, I sat between these two girls. It was Jerry Springer. I've never done anything like this professionally, screaming at each other. I completely lost control. I mean, I just lost.
Is the other girl trans, or does she just
No, she's a black conservative, but she's kind of new on the scene. So she's been attacked for a lot of stuff. It's not even worth getting into the specifics. But anyway, like the meme magic went crazy on me. There's a great thing that people posted with the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme song at the end,
and it's just
where I was like, I just put my head down and these two girls are screaming at each other. I mean, it's truly my favorite thing that I've ever come across online.
Do you feel?
But I love Blair. I think she's great. She's fearless. She's basically right. I mean, she's basically conservative. So think about this. You've got this young, hot trans girl who is a conservative. This flips everything on its head.
Well, it's weird. I thought that LGBTQ, I thought the gay pride parade made a terrible mistake when they wouldn't let the Trump supporters march. It's
ridiculous.
It's like, okay, you don't like Trump, but you're just basically you're doing what other people do. You're stereotyping. People say, oh, all gay people are the same. And this is your way of going, no, gay people are everywhere. We're Trump supporters. We are libertarians. We're this. It's a way of saying, like, we are everywhere.
Of course. Trump is the first president in the history of the world, perhaps the first modern leader in the history of the world, that came into office pro-gay marriage. The week before the election, he was on stage with a freaking rainbow flag, which, by the way, because of this nonsensical bullshit that the left does, did you see at Philadelphia Pride, they can't just have a rainbow flag anymore. Did you see they added 2 bars, a dark brown and a light brown, to now also include people of color? But the rainbow, that was the whole purpose of the rainbow in the first place. So they're even ruining the rainbow.
Rainbows have all colors in them, don't they?
The whole point, yes, there's not specifically brown in the rainbow, but the whole point of the rainbow is that this means it's everybody, right? Like there was nothing racial about it. Right. Now we're making that about race.
They thought the purple and the green people were represented. But not the brown and the black people.
It was going great for the leprechauns.
Right.
Yeah, there's the.
So, what do you think though of Trump's ban on trans people in the military?
Look, so
it was overturned, by the way. Wasn't it stopped by a judge? A judge stopped it and says you can't do it.
That's good. I think it's good.
I mean, basically, look, if you have passed every test, I believe you should treat people as individuals. So to say I'm going to ban all trans people or I'm going to ban all black people or whatever it is, that in and of itself, I'm against. If you have passed every test, if you've passed all the physical tests and the mental tests that everyone else has to pass, then of course you should be in. But I would say at the same time that I don't think any of the three of us have been in the military and know what goes on at in all the levels and the rates of suicides that are a lot higher in the military in the first place. And then you take another community that has a very high rate of suicide. Like, I don't know what that all means. So it would be a little silly for all these people who know nothing about any of that to really rant and rave about it. But again, I would say if you have passed every test that everyone else passes, then I can't understand the reason to not be part of it.
I don't, I don't see this as Trump trying to protect the trans community from committing suicide. You know what I mean?
He's the finances of the surgeries. It's also, I think, based in Mike Pence's being real religious. And I think it's about the surgeries. Do we have to break as Joe Coy's coming up? Do you want to stick around and hang with us? Okay, we'll have Joe come in and just hang. We'll take a quick break. Awesome. We'll be right back. I'm at Town Hall tomorrow night, 9:45 if you want to come. And I have a bunch of dates, Philadelphia, Sacramento, Indianapolis next week, Peoria, Illinois. And Dave, what do you want to promote?
What do I want to promote? YouTube.com/Rubin Report.
Okay, Rubin
That's
Report on YouTube.
Rubin Report.
All right, we'll be right back with Dave and Joe Coy. Jim and Sam, we're back. Dave Rubin, he's going to hang with us for the rest of the show. Let's bring in Joe Coy, my pal Joe Coy. Do you know Joe?
That was the most goddamn professional comeback from break that Jim Norton has ever done.
It's not true. I've done many professional ones.
That was fabulous.
I'm
Jim.
good.
That was fantastic. He never does it well. That was really, you got the mics on. Was that not amazing?
All those things you've said about him privately.
Really good. Can you save that? Just save the rejoiner for me.
Hi, Joe. Welcome to the show.
It was amazing.
Hello, sir.
It was amazing.
Thank you for joining us in studio. We have Dave Rubin. Do you guys know each other?
No.
How's it going?
How
Nice
are
to
you,
meet
man?
you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, no, they said that they're just shitting on me because they're saying I finally gave a professional.
I'm not shitting on you. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Wait, professional what?
Come back from break. I've never heard him do it well.
But
he just did it really well.
It is.
No.
That's like having sex with a girl you've been dating for 8 years and she goes, "Oh my God, I finally came." Yeah. That's not a compliment.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we have been having sex for 8 years. But it was really...
Jesus.
And you've always come.
He just came back from break really, really, really well.
Yeah. Well, you should have seen him. I saw him go to the bathroom, and it was just a beeline down the hallway. He had no eyes. He didn't had no eye contact with anybody. I was even like,
I didn't see you.
There was a group, like a rap group down there, and I was like, "Hey, Jim, you see me right?"
No,
and
focus,
right to the
tunnel
bathroom.
vision.
We have Taylor Swift coming to the building today.
Who's we?
So, the building, we, the company, Sirius XM, since they like to lump us all into one. And they're putting these giant, these are like prevent assassination drapes. Yeah. They're not the drapes we have. And I'm such a fucking dope. I asked the guy, there's a giant guy putting them, the drap. I'm like, who's coming in today? He goes, I'm just the drape guy.
I never come out.
Wait a minute, those drapes weren't for me? I thought the assassination drapes were for me and my alt-right, right-wing maniac thoughts.
Dude, I thought Mike Pence was coming
face of the alt-right.
I really did.
Dave.
Oh, that's what they look like now. Wow, that's a different flavor.
You're a married guy, right?
No.
You dating?
Divorce. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We talked about Louis today, of course, and we talked about all this weird, the ambiguity of this sexual stuff. What is consent and what's not consent? Do you find you run into stuff on the road where you're like, I think she wants to do this, but I'm not 100%. And I don't even mean fucking. I mean anything.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's anyone that's been on a date. You've been like it's a good date, and then at the end you're like, I think I pull my dick out now. Oh no, she just wants more butter on the popcorn. My bad. Let me put my dick back in my pocket.
Have you ever misread? I've misread it, not to the extent where I've jerked off. I think I've misread.
You never stripped naked and jerked off in front of somebody.
Stripping naked, I'm too much body shame. Yeah. I can't.
All I can say is that's never been a thing for me where I'm just like, hey, do you mind if I just jerk off in front of you real quick? Like that. I don't know what that is, but I had a friend go to jail for that. Oh, and that's the craziest thing.
Because
I thought he was just one in a billion. I was just like, whoa, that's my friend. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. He went to jail for it, and it was just so weird. He was doing it in movie theaters and he'll go to a matinee and
just jerk off.
Yeah, like porn movies, or he's going to like a Disney movie.
No, it was like legit movies, and because porn movies. How many girls go to that?
No, I don't listen. Whatever.
But yeah, he
going
would
to
just
like 50 first dates.
Yeah. The matinee version, like one. And then he was doing that and then taking off and then finally got caught. And
wow.
It tripped me out because it was just like, this is a guy I used to hang out with.
Did he wear a trench coat?
No, you just be real creepy about it. Wow.
The thing is,
isn't it weird? It's so weird to even think of. Like,
yeah.
But we all do weird shit. I mean,
Sure.
everyone is into weird shit. The issue is you can't do it to somebody without asking. You know what I mean? Like, you can do whatever you're into. Fantastic, but you can't just walk into a room and
I've
start
always
doing
said that. You're right, though.
Yeah.
I've always said that. It's like, it doesn't matter who you are, what you are. It's like, once you close that door, you're that other dude.
Yeah.
You're that other dude
No,
in
I'm
that
the same
dark
guy.
house.
I'm the same
Except
guy.
Jim. Yeah, except Norton.
I'm the same guy.
Norton carries it with him.
Well, I
in a
know you're
backpack.
telling. You had a line on your website years ago, something about the amount of gallons of fluids you've lost from some website or something, and I'm sure you remember the line.
Was it a list of lists? Was it? I had put in a fictional list of lists.
Can I just interrupt real quick? You're thinking about the list or the amount of gallons? Because that's what's confusing me.
Well, the list.
He doesn't even care about the gallons. He's like, wait a minute, which list? It's definitely gallons, but which list?
No, I had written a fictional list of lists.
Yeah.
Like these made up lists, and one of them was something about fluids dripped on me by a prostitute. There was all these weird lists, and none of them are existing.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Something like you said, I had lost like 87 gallons of fluid on this website. Like,
Jim, you're a liar.
Yeah,
you are a liar.
Isn't that a beautiful thing? You've had so many dirty
That's what
thoughts
it
you
is.
can't even remember the gallons of fluid.
This statement is such a normalcy for Jim. He really can't remember.
Yeah. He's not taking offense to it at all. He's like, I don't know, 87, 84.
It'd be like if I was like, hey, Joe, who's that guy you said hi to yesterday? You're like, I said hi to a bunch of people. You know? Like,
which
Gallon schmallons.
Yeah,
what are you talking about, man?
And this is why I love Joe Coy. Joe Coy's at Town Hall tonight. He is sold out. The Borgata Atlantic City sold out. Silver Legacy Casino Reno sold out. If you want to see Joe, November 18th, Reading Civic Auditorium in Reading, California, and April 27th, way in advance in Boston, because you still come in when you're sold out. That's why I love Joe Coy.
oh yeah, we get annoyed. Comics like we figure it out quick. They're like, oh, he actually had something come up, and then we just checked the website and he sold out, and we're like, oh, he canceled on us.
You think we moved guests
out?
around for you, and you just because you fucking sold tickets, you don't want to come in. So thank you for coming in anyway, Joe. We're always happy you're here.
Are you kidding me? I'm with Jim and Sam right now, and right wing guy.
Where are you?
Cool right wing guy.
Yeah, there is.
V-neck.
Isn't it weird though? Like
Dude,
people find
it's
out
a very niche thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Cool
I know.
guy.
Do other gay people think like, wow, man, you're selling out by being as right as you are?
But I'm not right.
No, but I mean, do they say that to you?
Well, The Advocate, which nobody reads this crap, nobody cares about any of that, but they wrote a piece on how Peter Thiel, Peter
Yes.
Thiel, the
guy brought
PayPal
down
guy.
Gawker.
Yeah, which is amazing, right? And that's why I met Hogan, by the way, through him.
Oh, I gotta ask you about that.
Yeah, but they wrote a piece how he's not gay because he's a Republican. And it's like, I'm pretty sure one thing makes you gay. And if you can do that thing particularly well, you will be embraced by the gay community.
Even if you do it poorly.
Congratulations.
That's why they
Trust
love
me,
you, Jim.
even if you do it poorly. I have a terrible gag reflex.
It's not bad.
Yes.
Let's accept them anyway.
No, that's the thing. They're very accepting.
Do you really have a bad reflex?
Do you know how awful it is when you think you're doing a great job and you hear boo, boo?
You really don't have a good gag reflex?
Nope.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, no, I brushed my tongue. I almost vomited.
I'll just leave it white. I'll leave the film on there.
You know how much I would want to hear a Jim Norton gag and then somebody else go, seriously?
Yeah. Really? That makes you gag?
Well, sorry.
You're just so experienced with some things and other things. You're just such a little rookie.
Just awful.
Yeah.
Just bad.
His tongue's bleeding. The roof of his mouth is cut. Like, what are you doing?
Pizza burn?
Wait, this isn't how you do it? He's got the back of his head thrusting his... So what are you doing? That's not how you brush your tongue, Jim. I don't know. I'm just trying to do a good job, bro.
While we're on this topic, how did you end up meeting Hulk Hogan?
Oh, so it doesn't even matter. He was at speaking at Thiel's company because obviously Thiel backed the lawsuit.
I'm
that
sure
took
he
down
loves
Gawker,
Peter
which
Thiel,
is
yeah.
which is amazing. He does. And anyway, so I end up in an office with Peter, with Hogan and one other guy for about 2 hours. So I got to spend 2 hours with Hogan, and he is. I mean, you're around a lot of wrestlers. To say he's huge isn't even the right thing. Everything about this man, his eyeballs were the size of your head.
Are massive.
He put his hand around my neck, and it literally he was like holding a straw. But he was so cool.
How did that happen?
And how did what happen?
He put his hand around your neck.
He had our reasons. That's
understandable.
a different thing. Yeah. He was just awesome, and the guy's trying to figure it out. He wants to be like a player in the world now again.
Yeah,
and he's trying to figure it out. I think he's awesome.
When I've met him a few times, and one time when we took a photo, he was like, put your hand on my neck, brother. I was like, okay, and he set me up for a collar and elbow tie up, like in wrestling, and like his hand hit my neck, and it was like the biggest, meatiest palm you've ever felt.
Yeah. And everything about him, he basically is RoboCop at this point. Everything has been replaced 27 times.
Right.
Hips, knees, eyes, legs, nose.
Was he brothering you a lot?
Oh, brother. How you doing, brother? He said actually, it was kind of funny. He's like, sometimes the Hulk Hogan guy takes over. He's like, my real name's Terry, and I'm a normal guy. He's like, sometimes when I'm just walking down the street and people are like, hey, Hogan, what's up, brother? Like, it's like, he's like holding the Hulk inside his character.
It's still a thing. I mean, everybody in wrestling still says brother, like off camera.
Oh, it's
hey brother, hey brother, hey brother, hey
he
brother.
started that.
What are you gonna do, brother?
Yeah,
what are you gonna do, brother, when this hand slaps you, brother?
Yeah.
You say to him, I'm gonna come.
Just gallons. That's what's gonna happen.
Like if you said to somebody like, "Oh no, I just brothering with Hulk Hogan for like 2 hours," they'd be like, "No way, that's awesome."
Is he still banned from WWE? Is he still?
Wait, why is he banned?
Because he dropped N-bombs talking about his Brooke. I guess there's audio of him. I guess he was saying it in that sex tape where he was mad that Brooke was dating a black guy or whatever. It was a private moment that got exposed.
And he was in a very weakened state.
He's a weakened state. I think it was terrible to use a private recording against you, but also I think they were worried other stuff would come out, and no other stuff has. So
I think the reason that the WWE reacted that way is because Hogan knew it was on the tape and didn't tell them.
Okay, maybe you
know what I mean. And so really the anger was in this thing of like, if you had told us, we would have been prepared, and we could have like the fact that this just comes out and it's news to us. Like that's why we gotta get you out of here. And I believe he'll be back.
Yeah,
he's brother. Like the brother's gonna be back, brother.
Yeah, brother. Right, brother. All right, brother.
Yeah, brother.
He was the face of WWE. If it wasn't for him, that company would be nowhere.
That's true,
like,
brother.
Come on. And everywhere he went, it was like next level.
Oh, yeah.
I was such a wrestling fanatic, man. It was just like
who's your favorite?
Just all those old guys, man. Shawn Michaels, The Rock, Austin, like. I loved them, man.
See, I still think they're young guys. I'm older than you, so
those sound like the young guys. I mean, Jake the Snake for me was like, I thought he was like the coolest human ever. Like,
did you watch his documentary on Netflix?
I actually haven't seen it. I know. Everyone keeps telling me to watch it. Yeah,
I interviewed Rowdy, and
God rest his soul.
Yeah, that was an amazing interview because he was talking about what he had to do to become a professional wrestler. How to go to Mexico and lie about his age and stuff. I was like, wow, I didn't even know there was an underground world for this. I thought you just audition and get the gig.
Plus,
this guy had.
You thought comics had it bad. Very few of us go to Mexico.
Yeah, man.
When he was starting,
and they take it real there. This is back in the time where they thought it was real fighting.
Well,
like,
that's when Piper was starting, like they wouldn't smarten anybody up until
what's that mean?
Like let them know what the deal was.
And stuff?
Yeah, this is scripted. They wouldn't tell anybody when they first got in the business. You had to be in the business for a little while before you got smartened up to it. So like your first few matches, you'd be getting the ring. They would just kick the shit out of you for real.
But then wouldn't you hit back? Like, don't they know that you're gonna?
They're professionals, so you're not gonna be able to. Like because they can legit fight, and they would because they didn't want the business getting exposed. So like they didn't want some kid having one match, he gets smartened up, then he leaves and tells all his friends. So like they wouldn't smarten you up until you were locked in. So in the meantime, you're just getting the shit kicked out of you.
It's like in Vietnam, they said the new guy, his life is worth less. The new guy's life is worth less because he hasn't suffered as much.
Right.
So if you go, it's seen as a blessing.
Exactly.
That's the worst way to walk into something, right?
Yeah.
The new guy. Hey, you're worth less.
Yeah, you're worth. Yeah.
Yeah. Check that hole out.
Oh, it's a piece of shit. Like,
So are you comfortable? I'm not, like you said, being the new guy. I'm not a comfortable. Like I noticed even around people I know a long time. I'm not a comfortable person. Are you a comfortable person?
I just like to be. I'm that guy that just likes to hug. Like every time I see you, I go for that big hug.
Yeah, I love hugging. I'm fine.
But then the face Jim gives me, like, what about a handshake?
No, I didn't mind that. I just when you put your arm out, Joe put his arm out. I didn't know if it was a handshake and then a hug. I'm fine with a hug.
I'm a hug guy.
Well, yeah,
so
but
I'm that guy.
Do you not like the germs of handshakes?
That too, man.
And
it's just, it creeps me out. Like at the end of the show, you shake 1,000 hands, then you just feel the film on your hand. It feels like, yeah, man.
I had Richard.
But that's also offensive at the merch line. You're just
no, it's not
every single.
I do it last time Robert Girl's clit. I fucking Purell.
I had Richard Lewis on my show, and on Curb, he's always doing the fist bump with Larry.
Yeah.
So I gave him the fist bump because I figured he doesn't want to touch anybody. And then at the end, when he was saying goodbye to me as he's walking out of my house, he put his hand on my cheek. He's like,
"Oh, that's nice.
That was fun."
Yeah.
You do it from your house?
Yeah, it's in my garage.
Oh, nice.
Built the whole thing.
Mark Maron kind of started the whole garage thing, didn't he?
Yeah. But I really built
he's got
this
a
thing
studio.
out.
Like, it doesn't look like a garage.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
it's
built
like-
it?
it's
So did
like
you seal the door
legit.
so it can't open or no?
One door is sealed. The other one less sealed.
That's a really important question to ask a guy.
Yeah,
about
what
the
do
door
you
sealing.
what do you
I
think I'm
myself.
doing in there? It's just,
I know, it's awful.
It's for a YouTube show. I'm not
No,
doing
I know.
that's
I'm a
not
complete
the-
cunt. Did you winterize the plastic over the windows? Fucking shut up, Jim. Who cares?
So you must have to deal, if you're a hugger, you must have to deal with a lot of people that like don't know what to do. Like they go in for the handshake.
Yeah, they still go all the way. They commit all the way. Like high handshake. You know what I mean?
You got to say what I normally will say. Like if they don't know what to do, I'll usually say press belts with daddy.
It's not a greeting, Jim.
No?
Your buckle, my buckle. Let's go.
Yeah, buckle to buckle with daddy.
No, I think this is a conversation about mixing messages here. That's
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Just saying hello is not consent for touching belt buckles
But I don't
with
mean it to
daddy.
be creepy. I mean that's just how a hug goes. You fucking belt buckles touch.
Gens to gens.
That's a deep hug, Jim. Like I don't go that far. It's like the
it's a
top of
really-
the chest, but like to get the belt buckles closer.
No, I want
That's like
shins.
you're trying to walk right through the person.
For a good hug, your nipples and shins should be touching. That's what a fucking hug is.
Here's the thing about Jim Norton. He
They should
enjoys
snake. Your legs should snake.
full body contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just decided that I'm going to leave with just a high five.
That's fine.
Yeah,
I understand.
that'll be fine. That'll be
Absolutely. A little elbow bump. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
You know where the hug really came from also is like, you know, when you shake that hand, there's always that one guy that you know your hands are clammy. Like, don't even offer the hand, but they always...
Yeah, but don't you ever like...
Like,
when
they
you,
just dipped it in a bucket of water and just went for the handshake. It's like, come on,
You
man.
know
just-
that's slimy. What are you doing?
But don't you ever like? I don't know. I'm not so bad with handshakes, but like, don't you ever like smell a person and it's not like they stink?
Yeah.
But they just have this natural thing of like you can just smell.
It's a
them
strong
and their
pheromone.
germs
Yeah,
and-
yeah.
Like I don't want to be that close to that person.
Yeah, well, it's after when you do gigs and people are coming up to you after and you have to shake like a zillion hands in a row. I'm not a germaphobe in any way whatsoever,
Neither
but
am
I
I.
do feel like at the end, I'm like,
That's what I'm saying. You feel like this film.
I gotta like put my hand in some sort of nuclear device to like
a heat
disinfect.
lamp or something.
Ugh.
It's one of those things where you just wash it after. You know, I just wash my fucking hands.
Yeah, I do too.
By the way, I think the hugging is a sports thing. I think that we saw players hitting each other on the ass and hugging, and I think that was men's desire to be like, hey, all right. Plus, we've gotten more affectionate and we're more, like back after World War II, nobody hugged or touched each other. They were just like, just men. But then we saw sports figures doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm a little more comfortable. Like, oh, all right, if two linebackers can fucking hug, it's okay.
Next thing you know, you're married to a dude. That's what happens.
It's a gateway.
Trying to build a studio in my garage.
I'm still a little confused by the door question. What were you going for there? Why would I have a door that can't open?
Well, I was thinking more in the fact that it's winter here, forgetting you're in LA, and I was thinking how cold it must be in there. So did you seal the garage door so it doesn't get cold?
Yeah, the door. Well, the we built a wall. The garage door is now fake. There's an actual wall.
Oh,
there.
it is? Okay,
Yeah,
so
so they
my-
enter through the home, not like
wonder if the
Marin
garage
like
still works.
opening the.
Okay, yeah.
Dave, I also need you to know that the idea that Jim may ask a question that goes nowhere is very real.
Well, it does happen, sure, absolutely.
It sort of had a little.
I once said, did Sam have a partner? Look what happened.
It just had a little bit of Buffalo Bill, Silence of the Lambs. Like I didn't know what you were picturing in the basement. You know what I
just
mean?
us.
Like
You following me around with a green thing on. Wait a minute.
We're gonna do this interview in a well.
I have a bunch of business cards I was going to drop. I love his little dance.
When he just drops the business cards and goes around the corner.
Reaches for his gun.
Did you guys see what Sean Parker was saying about Facebook yesterday?
Yes, I did.
That it was like
I did not.
That there's this. Actually, do you have the?
Preyed on the weakness, right?
I think Travis has audio. You have the audio of Sean Parker?
Yeah, Travis, you just said you had it ready.
Yeah, you
Travis,
just a minute
Travis
ago
was
told me.
sound asleep.
He really was.
Yeah.
Tef Dog was like, "Oh, hug talk, huh? I guess it's nap time."
Good
Exactly.
night.
What do I know about those?
The exact opposite.
Yeah, Sean Parker, who's everybody knows from the Facebook movie, is one of the people who helped founded. He helped. Well, I guess he didn't really. He's not really one of the founders of Facebook because if you watch the movie, it seems like he kind of just muscled Eduardo out of it.
Isn't he Napster?
He did.
Yeah, he was the Napster guy,
yeah, and then he jumped on Facebook in the very beginning, but he's been out of Facebook for a long time. But he was talking about, and now he's Spotify.
Are you kidding
is that
me?
right? He's
Yeah,
a
that's what
Spotify guy?
What is he, an alien? How do you jump onto three like legendary?
I think Sean Parker helped start Spotify.
I literally just put 200,000 into Friendster, so I'm hoping it comes back.
You just bought a .net.
Yeah, he's not. He's also not with Spotify. He's really good at being a part of these companies.
So he left Spotify too
and
now?
then being not a part of these companies.
What?
But he was one of the.
But they
early
pay
members.
him. They give him out.
I'm
money,
sure,
right?
he made a lot of
money.
Yeah,
It's like us leaving is equivalent to him leaving. It's like he gets paid a lot to leave.
Yeah. Like if we left, they'd be like, all right, bye.
All right, see you later.
They'd be like,
get your hoodie.
Actually, you guys owe us $400,000.
Yeah, exactly. But do you have the audio? How come you don't have the audio?
Because Shitlove told me that it was in there and it's not.
Where is he?
He's going to get it.
Well, he said it was in there?
Wait, someone has to go get audio? What is
this? You import it into the system so that I can play it.
God.
Well, can't we play it from YouTube? Do we have it from YouTube? Let's just play it.
I mean, it would be quicker if Troy just got it off YouTube.
So what happened?
He gives me this thing of like, here's the audio that we have.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let me give a little, like, I'll give the backstory so Travis has time to pull it up.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, hit the audio, Travis. And he goes, no, you're a dick face for setting up audio.
So who is supposed to put it in? Is he supposed to or just
Definitely
no,
Shitlove.
Anthony, yeah.
This is completely a Shitlove problem, and it's 100% his issue.
So should we ask him why it's not in the system?
I apologize. It won't happen again.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
He didn't want to argue.
This is one of our.
He knew he was wrong. Like, I'm sorry, Jim.
There's only one way to talk to him.
Where did you learn your trade, you stupid fucking cunt, you idiot?
This is one of our guys who I have never in my life heard somebody say,
I apologize. It won't happen again.
more times than this. He's told me that no fewer.
Oh, wait, that was you that pressed that? Oh, I thought that was really him.
No, that was really him, but he said that earlier. That's from earlier.
He said it earlier today for something else.
Oh, my God, do it one more time, man.
I apologize. It won't happen.
Because I don't want to hear it.
Sincere. I can hear the sincerity.
Yeah, he's very sincere.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it anymore.
I apologize. Won't happen again.
I apologize.
You realize we're
I apologize. It won't happen again.
I apologize. That won't happen again. That's right after he like spews all over the place. I apologize. That will never happen again.
We're all going to be replaced by an iPad one day.
I've officially, like, everything that Anthony adds to the show, I've got on my iPad.
I apologize. It won't happen again.
That's it. That's it. I mean, if he were not here for the next 2 months, nobody would ever know the difference.
Yeah, no. That's
it.
all he says.
Where is he?
He was slowly walking up the hall. I think he's going in the booth now.
Is he going in the booth?
Yeah.
He's slowly walking,
very
too,
slowly.
by the way.
Yeah. Is he being lackadaisical?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Travis, can we get it just a comment? Just
He's coming in.
Oh, good. Oh, that's smart of him.
That's cool. Guys, take your time.
Why don't you just sit down in the electric chair?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It won't happen again.
I'm sorry.
I love
I
that.
apologize. It won't happen again.
I apologize. It won't happen again.
Yeah. You're walking nice and slow?
Yeah, take your time.
Yeah, why not? We weren't setting anything up.
What happened? We went to a clip, it wasn't there, and you put it on the list.
I put it in delete.
You know, I like the iPod version.
I apologize. It won't happen.
In a successful folder in delete, and it loaded this morning, and I thought it was in there, and it wasn't.
Did you check?
You did load it?
I loaded it in.
Did you check?
100% loaded it in.
Did you check that it was there?
I didn't check in delete because I didn't check. You're right.
You didn't check where? I don't know.
I didn't check the system in delete, but all I know is I put it in the successful folder. I dragged it over into delete, and it was transferred into the delete.
It's ironic that they would call it the successful folder.
It is, yes, since it wasn't. Are the other ones still are loaded or no? Just not this one?
Nothing from today.
What's that?
Apparently, the other ones might not be loaded.
There's nothing from today or yesterday.
All the ones in.
I feel like we're watching a secret family fight right
yesterday?
now. We shouldn't be in here, should we?
Wait, or yesterday,
I want you guys
Travis?
to see this.
I have the clip. He just sent it to me, and miraculously, I had no trouble doing it.
You didn't?
No, it's here. It's ready.
Anthony, what's going on? Come on, man. Travis is saying that you can't hear what Travis is saying. Put your headphones on, buddy, just so he can hear you. Or if you get,
there's something else bothering him, Jim. I can tell. It's in his body language. Look at him.
Yes.
Travis
Something's going on.
Just said that he just loaded it and there was no problem. And yesterday's stuff is not in there either.
I was having a problem with delete the first day, and I just sent them to Travis, and he uploaded it. But then I did it 2 days ago, and it went through, and it said it was under the ones that I saw Travis load. So I assumed that they were in there.
Travis, is that correct?
I mean, he did it correctly once, but you're not supposed to put anything in the successful folder. That's not where it goes. This is a little boring for the
No,
listeners,
it's
right?
not.
No, but I mean like getting technical. He didn't put it where it's supposed to be.
It's
he
not
messed
really
up.
that boring, man.
Yeah.
Like my friends used to love it when my dad disciplined me.
Yeah.
No. The discipline
When I
is
got
great.
out in the living room, all my friends were like, "This is amazing, man."
Yeah.
You guys can go home if you want. No.
We'll stay. Are you gonna hit him?
So he didn't put it in the right folder.
Correct.
Okay. Anthony, comment?
Didn't
Travis
put it
saying he
in
didn't put it in the right folder.
What? Yeah, well, that's probably true.
No,
I
no,
just thought
it's
once
definitely
you put
true.
it in the
Travis
successful-
saying no, it's definitely
It's not
true.
probable.
Once you put it in the successful folder, I thought it comes up automatically.
No, you don't touch that.
Remember, one time I remember I was like, see, this is what happens when you assume things, and you went like this.
I apologize. It won't happen.
And then you just went right back to it, just assuming things. Like, it's probably there. Nah, I put it in the folder, so I'm sure it's going to pop up.
Can you get him saying, I thought I put it in the successful folder? Just say that, he's going to record it just real quick. Just get that.
I thought I put it in the successful folder.
Okay, I need that drop.
He's got a nice rhythm too.
It does. I need a computer Anthony in here.
Yeah,
that's great, man.
Yeah,
all right.
I want a successful folder drop.
So Travis, did he know that he shouldn't have done that, or is that something no one ever showed him?
Well, I mean, he's done it correctly before.
He's done it correctly before.
Yeah.
I did it the same way I usually do it. It's the weirdest thing in the world. I put,
does it. It's not weird. Stop saying that things are weird.
It's so strange.
Travis doesn't think
I
it's
do it
weird.
the same way I always do it. Wrong.
Every time he fucks up, he just says, it's so weird. Like, it's not weird. You fucked up.
We honestly...
Travis is saying it's not weird. You can't hear Travis, can you? He's saying it's not weird every time. Can you look at Travis's expression? It's not a positive. He's not being helpful.
No, it's not weird. Stop just dismissing everything as weird.
It's not weird. Stop dismissing everything as weird.
He says that, and I've heard Travis and the other guys make fun of you in the office for saying that every time something goes wrong, it's just really weird, man.
It's not weird.
It's so weird.
Travis is saying that you fucked up, and I don't know that system. So
Dave, the Rubin report, like that's your livelihood and your baby, right?
Yeah.
If it just constantly was just all fucked up, and like your producer was like, yeah, it's really weird, right? Wouldn't you be like, I want to kill you today?
Yeah. Honestly, anytime something goes wrong on my show, it's my fault. I mean, like my guys are great. Like
Hey,
my guys are
that's the
freaking.
secret.
My guys are all stars.
guys.
And David, isn't that weird?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you really think about it, it's so weird.
And then Dave's guys are like, Dave, why would you fuck this up? And Dave was like, I thought it was in the successful folder.
I'm the boss.
It's in the successful folder. I put it in the
folder.
It's in the successful folder.
So weird.
They refer to me as a technical error.
They do.
Is how they if they my guys are never, I mean, this type of thing, this disaster that this has become here, this obvious
you
situation
imagine?
that's going to continue off air has never
it's just
happened
the show was at its height. Like it was like
Comedically.
and that whatever we were about to press was going to make the explosion.
And then people will be like, enough with the staff stuff, and I'll be like, what the fuck do you want me to do? The staff has left me with nothing. Nothing.
It did derail things a bit because we were going to go to that clip. We started talking about it, and I try to be fair about it, but you're just you're utter incompetence. It was just I don't understand the system how to upload, but Travis is saying you fucked up, and Sam is saying you fucked up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I
don't know how to load it.
If I have like just a thing that says like, here's some clips you can go to,
That's
and
right.
I go like, okay, play the clip, and they're like, that clip's not there.
What about
Then,
yesterday's clips? Are yesterday's clips not there either?
No.
Well, they're in the successful file. I don't know for sure. Yeah, they're definitely in the. It's weird, Jim.
Yeah, which ones are correct? Like if successful folder is not good, what is the correct folder?
The ones you don't want for the show.
Yeah, those are the ones that are
that
in
one
there.
you can open right now.
Okay, so Travis, unfortunately, after the show today, even though it's Friday, you will have to give Anthony another lesson on how to give you clips.
Yeah, I'll do it again.
Okay.
Have you showed him already, Travis?
Yeah, of course I've showed him.
Anthony Travis's response was, "Yeah, of course I've showed him."
Has he showed you before?
He's speaking with irritation and exasperation.
Why do you suppose that you were doing it wrong?
I don't know. I screwed up. It's my fault.
We know that, but I mean, no one thinks it's anyone else's fault.
Wait. He's ramping up to it. He's ramping up to it because he always goes, "I screwed up.
Yeah.
It's my fault."
Yeah.
And then he gives me the money line.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna get the money line.
Oh, give it.
I think we're gonna get a live one.
Yeah,
I just want to. I want to do.
Unplugged.
I had to get a picture of Troy. You've never seen a happier, eager, happy Troy. I've never seen Troy rest his chin on his fist.
Troy is just sitting there with his elbow on the counter and his chin on his fist, and he's just smiling at Anthony.
Yeah,
like, as if to say, like, I could leave you alone. I can completely leave you alone and let it happen to you.
I've never seen just such a content look, happy look on Troy's face.
Troy, you had nothing to do with this, right? You just let nature take its
Letting
course.
it be.
Yep.
I really like the way you guys operate this operation. Really do, because I can sense the way you keep all your people kind of working against each other. It's a very effective way of keeping you guys on top. You know what I mean?
It's true. We're like blue collar. You remember that old movie? No, reference 1978.
No, don't.
Young against the old. The new.
What are we going to do to move forward? I was going to say move forward successfully, but I feel like the word success has been overused.
It's been tainted. It's been tainted.
So what are we going to do to move forward in a fruitful way, Anthony?
That's also a wrong way to.
Okay. Yeah, because we've been talking about Jim.
Yeah.
In a way that will be beneficial to the show. How are we going to move forward from this?
I'm going to, from now on, make sure that all the drops are in there before the show.
Oh.
And
that's nice. That's nice. Man.
Is there anything
what else?
you'd like to say to us? Maybe some type of
apology?
Maybe
I fucked up and I'm sorry.
And is this something that is going to be repeated?
No.
How would one say that?
Sorry, it won't happen again.
That was the money line.
Yeah, very impressive.
Travis,
the line.
Comment, Travis.
I'm sure it'll happen again.
Okay.
Travis says, let me quote him. I'm sure it'll happen again.
Yeah.
Travis does not have a whole lot of faith in your
You
ability
guys
to
should
make
actually
it not
do
happen.
a pool. You should do it like a betting pool that this is going to happen again.
Well, here's the problem. Nobody would bet that it would not happen again.
Yeah.
Like, do you think it's going to happen again, Joe Coy?
Yeah, it's going to happen actually in about 30 more minutes.
So you understand as a guy who's not here that often that it will happen again.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. This is definitely my son right here. Like, this is how my son acts when he gets caught.
How old is your son?
Oh, he's 14.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, this is exactly.
So he puts on the sad face.
fake
Oh,
sheepish.
yeah. He's like, I don't know what happened. Like,
You can kind of tell he's retaining nothing.
Yeah. And then his apology is nothing. He's like, in his head, he's just thinking about Madden. He's not really thinking about apologizing. Just how do I play?
How do you punish him?
Yeah, the only way I do it now is the phone. It's the most effective way.
It is, right?
It really is, man.
You just take the phone away?
Yeah, anything else is nothing. You
say,
time
"Give
out
me
your
your
room.
phone."
He's like, great, can I have my phone?
You'll take the phone.
I'll take it, yeah. I have his phone right now. I've had it for 2 weeks. So
Whoa, that's
2
a
weeks
real
with no
2 weeks.
phone?
Yeah, 2 weeks no phone.
Did he really screw up?
Yeah, he's a jerk, man. This kid's a fucking asshole. Yeah, he
Not a
is.
good
He's a
kid.
fucking asshole. I got this Kuna, surveillance cameras around my house that's attached to my phone.
Oh, yeah.
So it like anything moves,
Sure.
it notifies me. And I'm on the road, so it's a 3-hour difference. So now it's 5:30 in the morning, and my phone keeps going off. In my head, I'm like, raccoon, whatever.
Sure.
Always goes up. But now it's like this consistency. So I'm like, let me just check randomly.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2:30 in the morning at my house. Let me see what's going on. Bunch of dudes swimming, and he's the only one fully clothed because he's getting ready for the cops to come. You know what I mean? Because he knows he's caught. Because he knows every time he walks by the camera, he's looking at it fully clothed. Like, Jim, I have it on my phone. I'll show it to you if you think that I'm full of shit.
Why is he
All
doing
the other
that?
kids are in their trunks to go swim. No top, no nothing. And he's fully clothed, hoodie on, and he keeps looking at the cameras as he's walking to the pool.
So wait,
Like you're gonna be like, who's that guy in the hoodie?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's that guy?
Yeah.
he thinks that it's not going to wake you up because it's so late. Maybe.
No, he told me he knew. He goes, every time we walked to the pool, I kept looking at the cameras. I go, why? He goes, because I knew. I just knew you were watching for some reason. I'm like, yeah.
Did you call at that moment?
Yeah, I called him at that moment. Yeah.
And what did you say?
He thought at first when I called, I go, what are you doing? He went like this, huh? I go, what are you doing? He goes, oh, I'm still up. I go, yeah, where are you? He goes, at the house. I know you're at the house. I'm watching you assholes on the phone right now. He's like, we didn't have anywhere to go. I go, why didn't you guys stay at your friend's house when you said it? Oh, I don't know. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Plus, it's like it's 2:30 in the morning. Like, I know one place you could go to bed.
Yeah, literally. I have that option on the phone. Like you can call the cops, or you can talk like the intercom.
Oh my
God!
God!
I was so mad that I didn't do that because that would have been funny video to tell all four of them like, stop right there.
Yeah.
Who are you, motherfuckers? You know what I mean? But I didn't. I was so fucking
Just
mad,
chime
man.
in when you see him doing stuff. Going, hey, how weird is this, huh?
No, I do that now.
Yeah,
I've actually I talk to him on the intercom.
Did you
Just
make-
to
oh,
let
yeah.
him know that Dad's watching?
Did you make him throw them out?
I do.
Oh,
with
yeah.
my dog.
Oh, they were all gone. Yeah, the Uber home. Bye. I don't give a fuck what happens to him.
And you got the phone and you said, give me your phone. as soon as you're
yeah,
home.
he hasn't had it since. And it kills me because like I can't check up on him. Like I'm here in New York and I want to call him after school and I can't, but now I got to be that dad and prove a point. And
Sure. How long are you going to keep the phone for?
Probably another year. I don't know. Man. He's a fuck up, man. He's pissy. He's got an F in algebra and he has a tutor. Like I don't get it. Like it's just
Is he dyslexic
laziness.
at all? Sometimes math people who are dyslexic.
I asked him, like, I go, is there something else? Just tell me, man. I'm not going to get mad. But he says he's lazy.
Does he smoke pot?
Man, that's, I don't know, man. I hope not, but I'm feeling that's what's
Maybe,
happening
sure.
right now, man.
I don't know.
He's at that age. Where's the pot? I put it in the folder. The successful folder. Yeah, it's in the successful folder, Dad. It's so weird. It was just here.
Yeah, did your teacher said that you didn't do your homework?
I know, but I did it. But I put it in a successful folder. I put it in a successful folder. I handed the folder to the teacher, and the teacher said it's not there. Is it going to happen again? It's not going to happen again. And I'm sorry, and I fucked up.
I apologize. It won't happen again.
All right. Well, thank you, Anthony, for joining us.
Anthony.
Appreciate
You crushed,
your,
man.
Yeah, good job.
Fist bump. There it is.
Yes. No.
Hey, Anthony, go clean your room. We're watching.
Does that scare you at all, Joe? That like you're talking to your 14-year-old son, and on some level you're like, you know what? He's a fuck up, but he'll grow out of it.
Yeah.
Anthony's 27.
He's 27.
He's 27 years old.
Yeah.
You guys should take away his cell phone.
Yeah, maybe that's what we need to
He
do.
doesn't seem like the type of person that should have a cell phone.
Maybe next time Anthony fucks up, we should make him sit on a chair in the corner and just think about what he's done.
funny.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe
Something.
that's the only way.
Disciplining kids aren't the same anymore, man.
Yeah,
it's not the same.
Did you get hit growing up?
Yeah, my dad threw a gallon of milk at me, exploded in the driveway. I still remember that to this day. And
gallon of milk?
I remember we went because we worked at. My dad was military, so it's like we didn't have a Ralph's. Like we had to go to like the commissary, and it was a big event.
Yep.
So like to get a gallon of milk, it took an all day event to get that gallon of milk, and for him to throw it, I remember going, "Fuck no cereal!" Like that was like I'm the guy that took the cereal away from the whole family.
What had you done?
Man, I stole.
What'd you steal?
I stole an album. Yeah.
What album was it?
Michael Jackson album. It was a nice one too. It was the one with this picture on the album. It wasn't the cardboard copy. It was the one where it was like a picture on the A side and another picture on the B side. And I was like, I gotta have that. And I remember showing the guy that I'm about to buy this album. Like I remember, you know how you're trying to like not let anyone know you're stealing cereal. Oh, I'm about to get this, man. Look how cool that is. And the guy's like, oh yeah, that's very nice. And then I put it in the bag, and that guy was the security for the base exchange. And I remember going, told you about fuck me. And I was
so
caught,
weird,
man.
right?
Yeah, so weird.
It's so weird. I thought I paid for it.
That's the album right there.
Which one?
The one where he's the circle one. There's
a bunch. They're all albums are circles. Joe.
They're all circular.
The one where he's laying, right there.
Top one.
And then on the other side, he was wearing a yellow vest. But that was the front of the album.
That's the Thriller. Is that the Thriller cover?
Thriller, yeah. And then on the other side, he was wearing a yellow vest, like a cardigan vest.
Right. Oh, not there. Do you remember how big these? There was an Aussie one I saw that was like $200, which I now have and is worthless.
I wish I got away with that one.
Aren't there so many? Back then, the picture disc was a fucking massive thing. It was,
man, that was legend, man. Especially Michael. Are you kidding me?
I didn't like Michael.
It was 1984 when that happened, so it was huge for me.
Did he hit you with the milk?
He threw the milk. You know, my dad's horrible at sports, but that fucker had an arm that day, man.
Where did he hit you
with
the milk?
Right in the chest, bro.
Oh,
right in the fucking chest. He was so pissed because it's different, man. Like. It was military. It's military security. So it's like, it's kind of like, my dad was a master sergeant. It's like, it's completely disrespectful. It's Air Force.
Okay.
So it's like, it's like another level. It's like, you know what I mean? It's embarrassing to him, and I get it now.
Best food in the Air Force, by the way.
Hands down, man.
When I went to Iraq with Colin and somebody else, we went on. You can go with the Army, and we performed for everybody.
Yeah.
But we went with the Air Force, which was great because they had fucking lobster. I mean, by far the best food in the military.
Really?
The pilots are number one on the list.
Oh yeah,
they're number one on the
lobster.
Hierarchy. Everything.
Yeah, man.
Everything. Fucking nothing but desserts. And candy and snacks.
All the dessert. Yeah, they got everything, man. Everything that, especially where you went, they make it as comfortable as possible. It's like, you know what I mean? So
Baghdad. We were in Baghdad, and we were either in Kirkuk or Talil. Went to a couple of different places. We could see the Green Berets.
Yeah.
Really well fed.
You ever go to the 33rd parallel? Have you ever performed for those soldiers? It's Korea. It's right where the war zone is.
Oh, the DMZ?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no.
And I know, why did I say 33rd parallel? Anyways, it's like, I'm performing for these guys, and it's like they're ready for war any minute. And so you see the stoplight, and I'm with the guy that's taking me to whatever, the gym where I'm going to perform, and we stop at the stoplight, and then an F-14, I think, right? The F-14 just crosses that's the intersection. You know what I mean? We're in a Humvee, but here comes a F-14 crossing the street, and we both salute him. I thought it was the coolest fucking shit, man. I'm like, where's Tom Cruise right now? This is the shit, man.
I would love to go there and perform, but for the other side, bro, for Kim Jong-un, they need to laugh.
Yeah. Well, they laugh, but he tells them when. No, asshole. Say bravo, bravo.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that country is just not really a good place to go.
Oh wow, you're getting there?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's right. Edgy takes.
That's a hell of a statement, man.
Can't even get lobster at the comedy club.
No, not at all.
But would you agree in the military, the pilots are the top of the food chain?
Top of the food chain, hands down, man. Yeah. Those are the guys.
I had no idea.
Oh my God, nobody fucks with the pilots.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so impossible to do.
My stepdad is a G. Like, I love saying he's a G. Like,
I've been called one.
No, this is a real life G, man. He lived in the hills, the mountains of West Virginia, and he enlisted, because this is like 59, I don't know what he enlisted, 60, whatever. And he was 17 when he enlisted. He said, the reason why I got out, the reason why I enlisted at 17 is because I was tired of shitting in the woods in the winter. Because he had to dig a hole in the mountain. You know what I mean? He was like trying to dig a hole in cement, and I had to shit in the woods, and it's freezing cold. I just joined the military. This is during Vietnam, bro. During Vietnam.
And then he had to go overseas and shit in the woods.
Bro, no. Check this out. This is why I call him a G. The minute he gets there, his platoon gets hit by a grenade, shrapnel, all up on the right side of his body. Right? So he gets a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star. And the guy goes, "You're free to go, soldier. Thank you for serving this country." He goes, "I don't want shit in the woods. Send me back in." They send him back in. He gets hit by a sniper. He's got an entry wound right here on the top right shoulder. It's the size of a dime. Whole front end just fucking limped over like this. All gone. Another Purple Heart and a Bronze Star. You're free to go. He's like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna go. I won't be able to wipe my ass, but I'd rather shit in the woods."
Bond's been shot 7 times because he didn't want to shit in the woods.
So that's my dude right there, man. That's like my dad, because my mom and dad divorced, and he's the one that raised me, and it's just like, fucking A, man. Like, they don't make those dudes anymore, man. He retired at 38 and became a mailman and delivered mail for 22 years with that fucked up shoulder. It's just like, wow. Are you fucking kidding me? The guy's amazing, man. So
what did your parents do, Dave?
My dad's
we have to wrap up in 1 minute.
Yeah, my dad's in sales here in New York. My mom was a preschool teacher.
Wow, just nice, normal people.
I didn't say that, but they had jobs.
They were employed.
Yeah.
Did you go to? Oh no, she was preschool, so it was like when you were 5, it was done, right?
Yeah.
And I want to promote Joe's before we go. There's an all new 12 episodes, season 1 of Inglorious Pranksters. It's available on the website. What's the website, Joe?
It's LOL. It's the LOL network.
LOL network. Yeah. Oh, it's Kevin Hart's thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's also the Koi Pond is available on iTunes. Joe does a really great podcast, and live from Seattle, his Netflix special is very, very highly rated and reviewed, and everybody loved it. Is on Netflix. So, and you can catch Joe. The only gigs he has available, he sold out in New York, AC, Reno, is in Redding, California, and the Wilbur in Boston in April. Joe is hilarious.
Can I just brag about what happened in Hawaii? I know this is 25,000 tickets sold, man.
Oh yes, 11 sold out shows.
Crazy,
That's
man.
Amazing.
It's so crazy. Like, I keep pinching myself every day.
Good for you, buddy. Good.
And I'm like, thank you, Netflix.
I'll amend my earlier statement. Comedy is not dead.
No. Not at all. And Dave, the Rubin.
Yeah, neither is YouTube.
And neither is YouTube.
Yeah,
the Rubin
YouTube
Report
is king, man.
The Rubin Report.
YouTube is king.
One of the great YouTube channels is the Rubin Report, and lots of great conversations. And you'll see people like, if you scroll back enough, Milo and Ben Shapiro before they were, public enemy number 1.
Yes. Are they? They're not enemies of the public, not each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they don't like each other.
No. Ben doesn't like Milo at all.
Yeah.
Why?
Because Ben's not alt-right. Ben's right, and Milo's... I better not say Milo's.
Is Ben a lawyer? He seems like a lawyer.
I don't think he's a lawyer. Ben's a good guy, and he's bright, and he's.
What does he do for a living? I know he's a speaker, but what is his?
He's the editor-in-chief of the Daily Wire, and he does a radio show with them, and he's just bright. I mean, try to debate that. I don't want to turn that guy against me. Because,
he's a smart guy. I've disagreed with certain things I've seen him say about, like, racism in the country and stuff, but he's a really bright guy, very great speaker.
Yeah.
Does his research.
Yeah, definitely. I'm at Town Hall tomorrow night, and I got a bunch of gigs, Indianapolis, Peoria, Illinois, San Francisco, Sacramento. So go to my website if you want to come, and if not, then don't. All right?
Love it.
Very effective.
Yes, and the new Chip Chipperson podcast is up, so go check it out.
Yes.
On YouTube.
You coming over later today?
Yes, I'm doing Hannity. I just got to see what time. I have one of two times, either today or tomorrow. Tomorrow might be easier because I have no press tomorrow. I have press today.
Jim, one more time. I know I tell you this every time I see you, man, but your special was fucking beautiful, man.
Oh, thanks, man.
And I mean that from the written standpoint and of course the overall look, man.
Thank you.
That thing was shot amazingly, and it was awesome. I loved it, man.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate
I
it.
just wanted you to know that.
Thank you,
Again.
buddy. All right, we will see you guys. Louis C.K. is making a statement today, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. And thank you guys. This was a great combination.
Yeah, awesome.
Yes.
All right, see you next week.